Chapter 1246. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew some things, but what he needed to do now was to be even more cautious. Datura told Night Sorrow some other things. The Sky Profound World's Tian Nan dynasty had made some big moves recently. They were taking in some small forces and were about to surround Seven Night City. Jump. Wait for me to go back and deal with them. It's time to settle this matter. Night Sorrow let out a breath. When he mentioned Tian Nan dynasty, he was angry. Shang Tianfeng was a scum with an extremely bad character. It's just a small force. The leader is a 5-star king. Why don't I help you get rid of them? Datura said. No. I have to do it myself. This is the hatred of our Night clan. Night Sorrow said. Okay, then I'll wait for you to come back and deal with them. You should have the ability to deal with them. Datura said. Night Sorrow nodded. When his time attribute advanced to a 2-star king, Night Sorrow had the thought of dealing with Tian Nan dynasty. However, he felt that it was still not enough because Tian Nan dynasty had 3 kings. He alone was not enough. With a 4-star king and an ice Qilin by his side, Night Sorrow felt that it was enough. He could take down Tian Nan dynasty without relying on external forces. After chatting for a while, Datura reminded Night Sorrow to be careful again and again. Then, he disconnected the concentric crystal. Shang Tianfeng, it's time to pay back the debt. Night Sorrow let out a breath. In Night Sorrow's heart, he could not care less. He could let go of some grudges if he could. For example, Qinglin and Qinghuan, it was not a big deal. He also did not hold on to the matter of Yanmen's sect. However, he could not do it in the Tiannan Empire. Shang Tianfeng had done something that angered both humans and gods. He must die. Positive hashtag, version Night Sorrow didn't know what was going on with Yi Qianhua and Yi Tian. Night Sorrow felt that they were all people with accumulated experience and had the chance to enter the king's realm. When Yi Tian and Yi Qianhua went out to explore by themselves, Night Sorrow didn't ask. Elders also had their dignity and weren't willing to live under his wings. After pondering for a while, Night Sorrow put down his thoughts and continued forward. Destroying the Sky South dynasty was something he would do after leaving this place. As for the Sky South dynasty wanting to attack Seven Night City now, with Datura there, they would definitely be safe and sound. Night Sorrow laughed at himself. Now, he was really relying on a woman to protect him. As he moved forward, Night Sorrow got closer and closer to the Ice Dragon Abyss. However, there were fewer and fewer treasures in the cold current, so there were no treasures that could be spat out. This made Night Sorrow very puzzled. It wasn't easy to find a way to collect them, so why were there no treasures left? After observing for a while, Night Sorrow found the crux of the problem. In the past, the cold current was surging wildly. Now, it was spinning cold current, so it couldn't spit out anything. Cycle. Night Sorrow felt that this might be the cycle of the extreme cold current. It should be divided into different periods. There was only one type of cold current in each period. The current circling cold current was an extreme cold current that could not bring out resources. Night Sorrow didn't have any other emotions that he couldn't accept. He understood that everything had a limit. He had already collected a lot of extreme quality materials. If he kept collecting them, it would destroy the balance of the heavens. As he continued to move forward towards the Ice Dragon Abyss, Night Sorrow looked at the map. According to the map carver's estimation, the Ice Dragon's ancestral land was 1,000,000 miles to the east of the Ice Dragon Abyss. However, the map carver back then didn't manage to enter the Ice Dragon's ancestral land and was chased away by the Ice Dragon. In order to avoid being attacked by the Monarch rank Ice Dragon, the people who entered were all below the Monarch rank. It was unrealistic for those below the monarch rank to fight their way out of the ice dragon's core area. They were all like thieves. If they were discovered, they could only run. No one was an exception. Knight Sorrow was very careful. When he moved forward, he used his soul power to the maximum. If he discovered the ice dragon first, he would hide. If he was discovered by the ice dragon first, there was only one way out, and that was to run. Ling Ju and the others were the same. No one dared to be arrogant. They all moved forward secretly. Now, there were only 4 people left with him. The others had been killed by the ice dragon. Tang Bo and his companions were also sitting together and discussing. It was wrong for us to kill the ice dragon first, Tang Bo said to the people beside him. I don't understand what you mean, Yu Guan said, shaking his head. From the looks of it, the ice dragon clan is very vigilant. It can be said that they are not in a deep sleep. This is because the ice dragon clan leader has notified them, otherwise, there would not be such a situation. There is only one reason for the ice dragon clan leader to issue such a warning order, and that is to discover the fall of his clansmen. Tang Bo said his analysis. The Ice Dragon King and the Ice Dragon Patriarch were 2 different concepts. Ice dragons could be ice dragons leaders, but ice dragons leaders were not necessarily ice dragons. Ice dragons leaders were status, while ice dragons were status. The 2 had different meanings. King, sometimes you don't have to think too much. Even if we don't kill it, there might be others who will. The situation should be as it is. At least we have already obtained an ice dragon's corpse, Yu Guan said. Tang Bo nodded. He was just lamenting for a moment. After the team had rested, Tang Bo looked at the group of people and said, We have already entered the hinterland of the ice dragon realm, which is also the core of the ice dragon clan. Danger is everywhere, and our requirement for ourselves is to avoid being discovered by the ice dragon, but sometimes, things might not be caused by us. When there is danger, don't hesitate. I will cover the rear. You all retreat immediately. Gather at the rendezvous point we have set and then retreat. Why? Another team member asked. How should I put it? We can't be sure that we are the only ones who have entered the hinterland of the ice dragons. Maybe there are others who have entered. No matter who they are, as long as they are discovered by the ice dragons, they will conduct a thorough search. We can't hide. In other words, no matter who it is in the hinterland of the ice dragons, as long as an outsider is discovered by the ice dragons, it will be a monstrous matter. No one will have another chance, and they will all be killed and expelled. We can only hope that the others have not arrived. This way, our fate is still in our hands, Tang Bo explained the reason for his order. Tang Bo explained and continued to lead the team. He was advancing according to the map drawn by his ancestors. At this time, there were several other teams entering the hinterland of the ice dragons from different directions. They were all relatively strong teams. In the Shinwu Great World, the teams of the Zhanwu dynasty and the Hall of Martial Gods had also arrived in this area. In the Xianhuang world, there was another team besides Tang Bo. As for the world of Samsara, Ling Ju and his team had arrived. The blood-robed guards, the Qing Emperor's guards, and the people of the Black Fiend Valley were still in the peripheral area. Their map was not complete, so they were slow. Knight Sorrow found the mysterious ice river first. With the help of the ice Qilin, they arrived here first. Knight Sorrow was not far from the ice dragon abyss at this time. The extremely cold air was very difficult for him to bear. He had to use energy to protect his body. Chapter 1247. Knight Sorrow's body had the strength of a 2-star king, but he still could not withstand the extreme cold of the ice dragon abyss. He could only disperse the desolation's energy into his body and combine it with his body's energy to withstand the extreme cold and move forward. Night Sorrow did not want to use a protective shield because the energy fluctuations would be easily detected. Night Sorrow was very careful as he was already close to the ice dragons. If he was not careful, he would have to use the teleportation formation disc to escape. Maybe he could escape, but once the ice dragons were alert, it would be harder to enter the second time, so it was best not to be discovered. Night Sorrow felt pretty good as he walked alone in this world of ice and snow. If he was not afraid of being discovered, he would really want to roar a few times. The different feeling gave Night Sorrow a different state of mind. Night Sorrow thought it through. It was right to be careful, but there was no need to feel pressured. If there were gains, there would be gains. If there were none, he could not force it. He had gained enough in the ice dragon realm. He could not be greedy. If there were any gains, he would treat it calmly. With energy protecting the wine jar, Night Sorrow drank 2 big mouthfuls of wine and continued forward. Night Sorrow felt much more relaxed. Forward. He kept moving forward every day. When he was tired, Night Sorrow would rest in the dragon cauldron. He also refined a broadsword for his son and a light longsword for his daughter. Because it was just a transition from childhood, Night Sorrow did not refine a high-grade one, but he put in a lot of effort. This was his first gift as a father. Night Sorrow had been exploring for 3 years. His child was already 4 years old and had already started to cultivate under the guidance of his mother and aunts. His son and daughter both liked to cultivate, so Night Sorrow did not stop them. He did not want to force his children to do anything, including cultivation. But if his children liked it, he would definitely support them. In the words of Summer City, Night Sorrow was very doting when it came to children. Night Sorrow had his own thoughts. His childhood and youth were a little tiring, but his child didn't need it. His hard work was enough. He would fight for the sky for his family. Night Sorrow doted on her, but Sikong Chuyu, Aoi, and Yang Lei were very strict. Since the child was talented, they couldn't waste it and had to work hard to cultivate. Thinking of his family, Night Sorrow's heart felt warm because he had a warm family, a family that was worth fighting for. After advancing for more than 10 days, Night Sorrow approached the ice dragon abyss. Night Sorrow knew that there was a difference in safety. There was no small danger, but if there was, it would be extremely dangerous. If there was an ice dragon near the ice dragon abyss, it would be a top-tier monarch. Monarch rank ice dragons were all in deep slumber and would not wake up easily. However, if they did, it would be fatal. Night Sorrow felt that he shouldn't look for trouble. As long as the monarch rank ice dragon didn't wake up, he could get through this. Night Sorrow constantly channeled the power of desolates into his body. He even drank a drop of spiritual liquid of origin and life liquid of life every once in a while to replenish his energy. The extreme cold consumed a lot of Night Sorrow's energy, so he needed to replenish it. After replenishing his energy, Night Sorrow continued forward. 6 days later, Night Sorrow arrived at the ice dragon abyss. Night Sorrow knew what extreme cold meant, because almost everything was frozen. Other than the cold currents, the air was frozen and still. Night Sorrow felt that his clothes had hardened and were no longer fitting. He felt that this was not a place for humans to stay. The ice dragon abyss, as the name suggested, was a deep abyss filled with ice water. The ice water churned and white cold air surged. Streams of extreme cold currents were produced and flew out. Night Sorrow saw a strange sight. There were ice dragon skeletons in the cold air above the ice water, and they were all intact. In the middle, there was an ice dragon that was 400 to 500 feet long. Its white scales had a golden luster, but there was no aura of life. Ice dragon skeleton. That was the skeleton of a Heaven Master level ice dragon. Up to 4 new chapters. Yishang didn't even have the slightest thought of taking it away, because it was impossible. Yishang stood outside the ice dragon abyss and didn't dare to touch the extreme cold chi. If he dared to approach it, let alone the ice dragon skeleton, even if he approached the ice dragon abyss, he would be frozen to death by the extreme cold chi. Night Sorrow also understood what was going on with his ice dragon skeleton. It was brought out by the extreme cold current. This wasn't the ice dragon's ancestral land. These ice dragon skeletons should have been brought in by the circulating extreme cold current. Night Sorrow had coincidentally brought the ice dragon skeleton out when the extreme cold current was produced. After the extreme cold current was produced, it rushed towards the outside. It had nothing to do with the ice dragon skeleton in the ice dragon abyss. Forbidden area, absolutely forbidden area. There was no possibility of any tricks. Anyone who dared to approach the ice dragon abyss would die without a doubt. One could get it just because one's cultivation was high. If a monarch-level ice dragon dared to come, it was possible that a monarch-level ice dragon would attack before reaching the core area. They would only be killed. They wouldn't even have the qualifications to approach the core area. Even the Heaven Masters didn't dare to barge in recklessly. If there was a living ice dragon fighting near the ice dragon abyss, even the Heaven Masters would be killed. After watching for a while, Night Sorrow left. Going to the ice dragon's ancestral land went smoothly. Night Sorrow even considered returning to the ice dragon abyss to take a look. Then, he would choose a direction with the most extreme cold current and wait for the cycle of the extreme cold current to change so that he could collect the treasure. After leaving, Night Sorrow found an ice dragon. This ice dragon's body was huge. It was 200 feet long and had a diameter of 200 to 300 feet. 200 feet was the maximum length a monarch-level ice dragon could grow. If it exceeded this length, it would no longer be a monarch-level ice dragon, but a Heaven Master-level ice dragon. This ice dragon was in a deep slumber. Night Sorrow took a detour and continued forward. Dragons like to sleep. In fact, it was also a form of cultivation. If there was no danger, they wouldn't wake up. Night Sorrow didn't have any killing intent, so he didn't disturb it. Night Sorrow knew that this was a true expert. Cultivating here was to reach the perfect will and become a Heaven Master-level magnate. After passing this monarch-level ice dragon, Night Sorrow continued forward. After traveling for about 200 miles, he found another ice dragon. Terrifying. It was so terrifying. In such a short distance, there were already 2 monarch-level ice dragons sleeping and cultivating. It was obvious how strong the ice dragon race was. Who would dare to force their way in? Even a Heaven Master-level magnate would be unlucky. As he continued forward, Night Sorrow sent out more than 10 monarch-level ice dragons. They were all cultivating near the ice dragon abyss. Night Sorrow wanted to pass through this area and advance towards the ice dragon's ancestral land. Safety in the midst of danger. This was what Night Sorrow realized. Monarch-level ice dragons were extremely dangerous, but they wouldn't wake up easily. Without attracting the ice dragons, Night Sorrow found a safe place and set up an illusion array and a teleportation array before continuing forward. He didn't know how far he was from the ice dragon's ancestral land, but he knew that it was near this area. As long as he continued forward, he would reach it. However, there were many ice dragons nearby. There were no weaklings because those who could cultivate here were all experts of the ice dragons. Ling Ju also brought people close to the core area. He knew that it was time to fight. Whether or not he could reap great rewards depended on whether things went smoothly in the ice dragon's ancestral land. However, he was very unlucky. As soon as he entered the core area, he was discovered by a patrolling ice dragon. Chapter 1248. If they were discovered by the ice dragon, they would have to fight. However, before the fight began, the ice dragon raised its head and roared to inform its companions. If they found intruders in other places, the ice dragon would take care of them themselves. However, this was the core area of the ice dragon clan, and outsiders were not allowed to be presumptuous. This was not its own business, but the Ice Dragon clan's business. Ling Fei, block it. Everyone else, run. Ling Ju gave the order without hesitation. This was the core area of the Ice Dragons. Fighting with the Ice Dragon here was suicide. However, the Ice Dragon did not attack the cannon fodder that Ling Ju had left behind. Instead, it chased after Ling Ju and his companions. Ling Ju cursed in his heart. He was unlucky. After discovering the Ice Dragon, it was too late for him to escape. The Ice Dragons had a huge advantage in the core area of the Ice Dragons. Ling Ju ran as he fired his sword chi. This was a race against the Grim Reaper. If the other Ice Dragons caught up and surrounded him, he would die. Original. In fact, the other Ice Dragons arrived very quickly. They only took a few minutes. At this time, Ling Ju did not care about the others. He used a secret technique to escape quickly. He knew that the people he had brought with him would be annihilated. However, he did not run. The Ice Dragon had caught up. Ling Ju used a secret technique to escape quickly. However, there was still an Ice Dragon chasing after him. Only a few cannon fodder were left to fight with the Ice Dragon. In the end, they were killed. At this time, Knight Sorrow was also in danger. He was about to go around a sleeping monarch rank Ice Dragon when the Ice Dragon started to move. It was going to wake up. Knight Sorrow's body flashed and entered the dragon cauldron. If the monarch rank Ice Dragon discovered him, it would either die or escape successfully. There was no third possibility. After Knight Sorrow entered the dragon cauldron, he carefully observed the monarch rank Ice Dragon to see what was going on. At this time, the monarch rank giant Ice Dragon took off and flew out. Knight Sorrow did not know what was going on. In fact, the Ice Dragons had a secret communication channel. Now that there was an invasion, the Ice Dragons moved. This was not making a mountain out of a molehill. This was the core area of the Ice Dragons, the area where the Ice Dragon Hall was located. The ancestral land of the Ice Dragons was also in this area, so they could not afford to lose it. The monarch rank Ice Dragon wasn't the only one that moved. The other monarch rank Ice Dragons moved as well. They started patrolling the area. Among the Ice Dragons, there was a strict hierarchy. 7-star King level Ice Dragons could only summon the King level Ice Dragon's summoning code. 7-star King level Ice Dragons could ask for help from Monarch level Ice Dragons. Only a Monarch rank Ice Dragon could summon an Ice Dragon. The Ice Dragon that met Ling Ju just now was a Star King level Ice Dragon, so its warning call woke up all the other dragons except for the Ice Dragon. They began to patrol the core area of the Ice Dragon. Knight Sorrow was able to hide, but the others were unlucky. Because there were too many people, it was impossible to hide, so the only way was to run. Tang Bo was also running. There really are some unlucky people who cause trouble. Tang Bo cursed as he ran. They had suffered from other people's mistakes before, so they were a little angry. Tang Bo was strong, so he could run and fight the Ice Dragon at the same time, giving his subordinates enough time to escape. Once they left the core area, they would have a chance to live. Ling Juhuang was running in a random direction when he saw Tang Bo cooperate. Ling Ju shouted as he ran towards Tang Bo. Tang Bo's face was filled with anger. Ling Ju was alone with an Ice Dragon behind him. He was a team. Cooperate. This was clearly a ploy to bring trouble to others, a ploy to trick them. Stay away from us. Damn it, you were discovered by the Ice Dragon. Stay away from us. Otherwise, I don't care about the Ice Dragon. I will kill you first. Tang Bo shouted at Ling Ju. Do you think I'm willing to be discovered? You have the right to kill me. Ling Ju's expression changed. Tang Bo really didn't give him any face, and directly didn't give him the chance to cause trouble. Arrogant cultivators would do what they said. Ling Ju's counterattack was not at a disadvantage, but he understood that if he really lured the ice dragon to Tang Bo would give up on defending against the ice dragon and attack him first. At that time, he would have the ice dragon behind him and another opponent. It would be troublesome. Ling Ju changed his direction and continued to run. From time to time, he would attack the ice dragon that was chasing him. Tang Bo and the others also changed their direction of escape. The main reason was that they didn't want to be with the sinister Ling Ju. After running for a distance, he really couldn't shake off the ice dragon. Tang Bo raised his right hand and a fiery red light appeared, enveloping the ice dragon. "Quick, follow me." Tang Bo's body flashed and rushed forward. What he had just thrown out was a life-saving treasure, the flaming heavenly sand, which was specially used to restrain the ice dragon. Unless it was a last resort, he really didn't want to use it. After the fiery red flaming heavenly sand left Tang Bo's hand, it turned into a sky full of flames and flew toward the ice dragon. The ice dragon's body circled and waved its sharp claws to release ice energy to suppress the damage caused by the flaming heavenly sand. However, at this time, Tang Bo quickly left with the others. After a considerable distance, Tang Bo took out an illusion formation plate and activated it. After that, he took the people behind him to rest. "We met a shameless person. He's not from our bound of universe world," Yu Guan said. "Judging from his clothes and flying skills, he's from the celestial sect in the world of samsara. This bastard. Once he's discovered, we won't be able to enter the ice dragon's ancestral land." Tang Bo was very angry. "Is he the person that you discovered when we killed the ice dragon?" Yu Guan asked. "No, I didn't see that person clearly, but his aura is different from this guy. Let's not talk about it now and don't have any delusions. The ice dragon has just woken up from its deep sleep and will not enter it for a period of time. Therefore, we have lost our chance. Let's take a rest. Our next target is the mysterious ice river." Tang Bo was not a wishy-washy person. Since there was no hope in the core area of the ice dragons, he planned to change his target directly. In the team, Tang Bo was the absolute authority. Whatever he said was the truth. The others began to meditate to recover. They had been running all the time and had consumed a lot of energy. Night Sorrow watched the monarch-level ice dragon fly away. It was flying towards the periphery of the core area of the ice dragons. He knew that something had happened outside. It was very likely that a team had entered and was discovered. Now was his chance to quickly approach the ice dragon's ancestral land. After leaving the dragon cauldron, Night Sorrow quickly flew towards the ice dragon's ancestral land. During the flight, Night Sorrow used his will to suppress the energy fluctuation. At the same time, he also explored the largest area. He was also worried that he would encounter a monarch-level ice dragon that had woken up. After flying for a while, Night Sorrow felt that this would not work. After all, it was risky because the ice dragon's ancestral land would definitely be guarded by ice dragons that would not leave easily. If he rashly approached, he would be in trouble regardless of whether it was the patrolling ice dragons or the guarding ice dragons. After all, any ice dragon could easily take care of him. Staying in the dragon cauldron, Night Sorrow pondered. Subsequently, he planned to study advanced formation discs and a large number of illusion formation discs. Chapter 1249. Most of the time, low-level array discs were one-off products. The illusion-killing array that Night Sorrow had refined was like this. After it was activated, the array disc would shatter if it couldn't withstand it. Night Sorrow planned to refine a high-level array disc. He decided to put in some effort and research a mobile array disc. At this time, Datura vibrated Night Sorrow's messaging crystal. Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea and talked to Datura about the recent situation and his thoughts on refining an array disc. If you have enough materials, refine an illusion array disk. Before the illusion array disk shatters, use a second one. This way, it will be enough to last you until you reach the ancestral land of the ice dragons. However, I think the ancestral land of the ice dragons must be very dangerous. There might even be monarch-level ice dragons guarding it. Datura said. I'll try to increase my proficiency first. If I can refine a high-level one, I can keep using it. Night Sorrow said. This is very difficult. High-level array disks can only be refined by high-level heavenly array masters and high-level heavenly artifact masters. First of all, the materials are hard to find. Not to mention that you have the spatial copper essence, but your cultivation might not be able to support it. Datura said. In the Supreme World, there were still some heavenly masters. According to their levels, they were divided into beginner, intermediate, and advanced. A beginner king could become a beginner heavenly master, an intermediate king could become an intermediate heavenly master, and only an advanced king could become an advanced heavenly master. Whether it was the alchemy Tao, artifact Tao, or array Tao, they all followed this rule. Our positive J version, my situation might be a bit special, because my soul power is stronger. I forged a high-grade sovereign weapon a long time ago. Now that I'm forging a high-grade array disk, what I'm lacking is proficiency. I should be able to raise my proficiency a bit. Yishan was very confident in himself. You're ruthless enough. Even in the top forces, they don't nurture heavenly masters like this. Datura said. Alchemists, blacksmiths, and array masters' achievements depended on one's talent first, and then one's proficiency in alchemy and blacksmithing. Night Sorrow had helped others refine pills and blacksmiths, but he had helped himself out. The ice dragon is already on full alert. It would be difficult for me to do anything even if I were to go to the ancestral land of the ice dragon. However, since I'm here, I won't be satisfied if I don't go to the ancestral land of the ice dragon. Night Sorrow said. Datura nodded. She could understand Night Sorrow's current state of mind. Harvest was secondary. If they didn't even reach their destination, it would be equivalent to failure. Admitting failure without any effort was something that no cultivator would be willing to face. To put it bluntly, it was cowardice. After chatting with Datura for a while and breaking the concentric crystal, Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea and began to study the array disk. Night Sorrow wanted to break through to the advanced heavenly array master, which required a process that was not that easy. It was very difficult to break through to the advanced heavenly master level because the advanced king level materials were rare. Not to mention an individual, even if a force wanted to nurture an advanced heavenly master, it was extremely difficult. Night Sorrow relied on refining pills and blacksmithing for others to raise his support skills. He had also been deducing the array disk. The refinement of a high-level array disk required one's cultivation in array Tao and blacksmithing to catch up. This was also the reason why array disks were so precious. Night Sorrow now had the materials, array Tao, and blacksmithing cultivation, which was why he had the confidence to study high-level array disks. After calming down, Night Sorrow took out the materials and went through the illusion array in his mind. Then, he began to refine it. He used the spatial brass, which could refine an intermediate heavenly array disk. That was why he used the spatial brass to refine an intermediate heavenly array disk. It was a success. It was an intermediate illusion array disk. Night Sorrow had successfully refined it because the array disk was relatively simple. Night Sorrow then engraved the killing lock array onto the spatial brass. Then, he inserted a Saint Spirit stone and refined it. After that, Night Sorrow studied the refinement of the array disk every day. Because he was worried about the materials, after every refinement, Night Sorrow would summarize the gains and losses. Then, after careful consideration, he would refine it again. After a month, Night Sorrow had used up all the spatial brass in his hands. After obtaining many array discs, Night Sorrow also gained some valuable experience. Next, Night Sorrow wanted to refine an advanced array disc. He wanted to engrave the Sealing Sky illusionary killing array that he had researched himself. It was an advanced Heavenly Master array disc. An advanced array disc had to correspond with an array of the same level. It was extremely difficult. Even the slightest mistake in the engraving of the arrayed disc could not be made. After failing again and again, Night Sorrow summed up his experience while feeling heartache for the materials. In the third month, Night Sorrow refined the Sealing Sky illusionary killing array disc. At this time, he had consumed 1/3 of the spatial brass that he had obtained in the extreme cold current. Yishang activated the disc array and exited the dragon cauldron. Holding the disc array, Yishang felt the surrounding scenery change. He walked around with the disc array in hand. As he walked, the scenery Yishang saw constantly changed. He knew that if someone looked over from the outside, they would only see a vast expanse of ice and snow. They could not see him. Success. The advanced array disc was successfully refined. Night Sorrow saw another life-saving trump card. Happy. Night Sorrow was truly happy. Night Sorrow then returned to the dragon cauldron and continued studying the array disc. Since he had refined an advanced array disc, he would study a few more backups. Night Sorrow refined some arrayed discs for the Sealing Sky illusionary killing array and the Sealing Sky illusionary killing array. Arrayed discs were different from actual large arrays. The power was similar, but the area they covered was much smaller. The large array that Night Sorrow had set up in the past could cover a military camp with a radius of tens of miles or even hundreds of miles. However, the area that the arrayed disc could cover was relatively smaller. With a few advanced arrayed discs in hand, Night Sorrow felt more at ease. He felt that he could go out and play. There was definitely no problem in terms of safety. First, he would use the illusionary killing array to hide. If an ice dragon discovered him, Night Sorrow could use the Sealing Sky illusionary killing array to trap the opponent. Then, he would use the Sealing Sky illusionary killing array to protect himself. After activating the teleportation array disc, he could quickly leave. Night Sorrow was very satisfied with the current effect. He supported the array disc of the Sealing Sky illusionary killing array and flew forward. Anyway, with the illusionary killing array hiding him, even if there were ice dragons, it would not be so easy to discover him. At this time, many ice dragons had returned to their positions and were cultivating. Even with the Sealing Sky illusionary killing array hiding him, Night Sorrow was still very careful. A monarch rank ice dragon was not that simple. If he was alerted, it would be very easy for him to discover him. Since he had already reached this level, Night Sorrow did not want to fail because of his carelessness. Every day, Yishang was getting closer and closer to the ancestral land of the ice dragons. He was thinking about the situation in the ancestral land of the ice dragons, what he could do, and what risks there would be. After experiencing too many things, Night Sorrow's mind was much more mature than his peers. Night Sorrow had thought of ways to solve some of the things that could happen. 10th update. Thank you for your support, brothers. 3 days and 31 updates are in place. I will keep my promise. Here, I wish you a happy 4th birthday. Regarding the update situation, 4 updates will start tomorrow and erupt at irregular times. By the end of this month, more than 100 chapters have been updated. Shizi promised that once his condition was good, he would erupt on time. He had to be worthy of his brothers and sisters. Chapter 1250. Night Sorrow numbered every teleportation crystal that he had set up. When needed, he could directly use the teleportation array disc to teleport. If he wanted to leave the Ice Dragon realm, Night Sorrow could set up a high-level teleportation array and connect it to the teleportation array at the entrance of the Ice Dragon realm. However, Night Sorrow still had plans to go back. he still planned to continue guarding the extreme cold current. This kind of opportunity to collect top-grade materials was very rare. If he missed it, there would not be such an opportunity. A distance of 1,000,000 miles was nothing to King. If it was in the past, Night Sorrow would be worried about everything, and his speed would be slow. Now that he had a mobile illusion array to protect him, and he had a way out, he was confident and courageous, and his speed increased a little. 5 days later, Night Sorrow found the ancestral land of the ice dragons. There were no signs on the map, but Night Sorrow could tell from the habitat of the ice dragons. The ancestral land of the ice dragons was the holy land of the ice dragon race, and it was also a forbidden area. It was a place that the ice dragon race defended with all their might, and there were many ice dragons guarding this place. Night Sorrow was a 4-star king, and he could see the depths of the ice dragons with 7-star king cultivation. Some of the ice dragons that he could not see the cultivation level of were the Star King and Monarch rank ice dragons. Night Sorrow could not help but admire the tyranny of the ice dragon race. With such strength, it was unrealistic for any force to attack. One had to know that the ice dragon race had a unique advantage in the ice dragon realm. Not to mention fighting beyond their level, they would definitely crush those of the same level. Of course, outside the ice dragon realm, the combat strength of the ice dragons would decrease. If such strength was not limited by the trials of wind and fire, it would be extremely terrifying. Perhaps the trials of wind and fire only existed because the heavenly Tao was fair. Night Sorrow arrived at the location. The ancestral land of the ice dragons was a canyon with piercingly cold ice wind. On both sides of the canyon's entrance, there were 2 gigantic ice dragons coiled around the ice pillars. Their bodies were 2,000 feet long, and they were monarch rank ice dragons. There were also ice dragons coiling around the mountains on both sides of the canyon. These ice dragons were all in a sleeping state. Night Sorrow knew that this was the case when nothing happened. If something happened, these ice dragons would wake up to fight. In fact, these ice dragons were not in a deep sleep. Thinking about it, Night Sorrow did not know how to enter this canyon. It was not realistic to enter with the current method. The canyon entrance was not very wide, and if he moved with the disc array, there would be energy fluctuations. He would definitely be discovered by the ice dragon. Night Sorrow did not want to use such a risky method. Translator, Lon_editor, Ephidacia. Looking at both sides of the canyon, Night Sorrow decided not to go to the mouth of the canyon. There was cold wind at the mouth of the canyon, so it would be easier to go through the mountain wall. With some thoughts in mind, Night Sorrow began to take action. He took the disc array and flew to the side of the canyon. Then, he entered the dragon cauldron. He planned to control the shrunken dragon cauldron to fly past the ice dragon's guard and enter the ancestral land of the ice dragons. The crucial moment was about to arrive. Yisheng drank a jar of wine and relaxed. Then, he controlled the dragon cauldron to approach the walls of the canyon. He felt that his chances were quite high. The ice dragon was in a deep sleep. Moreover, the dragon cauldron's flight didn't carry much energy in the snow. As the dragon cauldron slowly approached, Night Sorrow was a little excited. As long as he passed the blockade, it would be fine. Night Sorrow was worried that he would not be able to enter. As for leaving, that was easy. He had a teleportation array disc, and even if he was discovered, he could throw out a few heaven-sealing illusionary killing array discs and heaven-sealing trap killing array discs. Night Sorrow controlled the dragon cauldron to pass through the alert area guarded by the ice dragons and rolled down the slope of the canyon into the canyon. Night Sorrow's heart skipped a beat as he controlled the dragon cauldron to roll down. He had passed another stage and was getting closer and closer to his goal. Regardless of whether he could succeed or not, at least hope was in front of him. The canyon was filled with astral winds, but at this time, Night Sorrow was some distance away from the top of the canyon and the mouth of the canyon. It was difficult to control the dragon cauldron, so Night Sorrow took out the disc array and continued to fly. Just now, in the dragon cauldron, Night Sorrow had already changed the Holy Spirit stone in the disc array. He could use it all the time. When he passed through the canyon, Night Sorrow was stunned. At the mouth of the canyon was a huge basin. The sky in the basin was white, and ice dragon skeletons were coiled inside. Night Sorrow looked down and saw at least thousands of ice dragon skeletons in the basin. In the middle of the basin, there were 3 ice dragons with golden scales. They were all coiled on huge black ice stone bases. Waves of pressure rushed in all directions. Night Sorrow could only withstand it by using the power of his soul. Ice dragon skeletons. Those were the skeletons of the 3 Sky Master level ice dragon. However, Night Sorrow did not dare to touch them because there was a great formation in the basin. Some of the ice dragon skeletons had energy flowing between them, suppressing everything in the basin. After checking, Night Sorrow knew what kind of formation it was. It was the Dragon Formation, also known as the Thousand Dragon Formation. It was recorded in the Qing Emperor's letter. However, it was only a brief description, because even the world of Samsara did not have such a formation. The dragon formation in the canyon was centered around the ice dragon skeletons. Once the formation attacked, even the Sky Master level giants would not be able to get away with it. One had to know that in the eyes of practitioners, an ice dragon was already amazing. It could set up a great formation. This was the Thousand Dragon Formation, and it used the skeletons of the ice dragon as the core. Night Sorrow knew he had to resort to trickery. If he dared to activate the dragon formation, he would die without a complete corpse. He had to find a way to break it. However, Night Sorrow was not in a hurry. He had stabilized his footing here. No matter how strong the formation was, it was still a dead object. It was not as scary as a living ice dragon. After studying for a while, Night Sorrow felt there was still a chance. The dragon formation needed the skeletons of 1,000 ice dragons. Now, there were thousands of ice dragon skeletons in the basin. The extra skeletons had disrupted the formation a little. Night Sorrow planned to use the extra skeletons to solve this problem. As long as the disturbance was stronger, the lethality of the dragon formation would continue to decrease. Night Sorrow first studied the array. When he discovered that he could move the ice dragon skeletons, he took out his ice dragon skin tendon net and threw it out to hook the ice dragon skeletons. Then, he began to move. He wanted to use the ice dragon skeletons to obstruct the operation of the array. Night Sorrow did not like to make a big noise, so he was very careful when he moved the skeletons. Because he didn't want to cause too much of a ruckus, Night Sorrow's movements were relatively slow. 5 days later, Night Sorrow had moved 30 ice dragon skeletons that had nothing to do with the myriad dragon formation to obstruct and interfere with the operation of the formation. After 5 days, Yishang could clearly feel the pressure of the myriad dragon array decrease. Yishang knew that if he continued to move slowly, he would be able to enter in a short period of time. Chapter 1251. It was very difficult because the slightest carelessness would trigger the myriad dragon formation. Then, all his previous efforts would be wasted and everything he had done would be for naught. Because there was enough time, Night Sorrow was not in a hurry. This was the holy land and forbidden area of the ice dragon realm. Ice dragons would not easily enter. As long as he made it stable, it would be fine. Night Sorrow only dared to move the ice dragon skeleton a little, let alone collect it. The myriad dragon formation had the ability to suppress, kill, and defend. Night Sorrow was afraid of causing energy fluctuations and triggering the myriad dragon formation. It was impossible to directly collect it. Besides, Night Sorrow's target was not an ordinary ice dragon skeleton. It was the skeleton of an ice dragon. Although he was very excited, Night Sorrow was still very steady. He had walked 100 steps, but he was only halfway through the 99 steps. He would not waste all his previous efforts because of a single mistake. Time passed little by little. Night Sorrow moved the skeleton of the ice dragon and tried his best to interfere with the operation of the myriad dragon formation. This was a big project. He did not ask for much, just a gap that could allow him to pass through. As long as he could get close to the skeleton of the ice dragon, that would be enough. After a month, Night Sorrow had only slightly changed the myriad dragon formation. However, it was still not enough to enter. As soon as he finished this work, the concentric crystal in his sleeve vibrated. Night Sorrow took it out and connected it. Night Sorrow, how are you doing now? Datura asked worriedly. Very good. Don't worry, Night Sorrow said. At present, almost all the forces have returned. The ice dragons have discovered the invaders and have rioted. All the teams that went to the hinterland of the ice dragon realm have been expelled. They have all suffered heavy losses. The Qing Emperor's guards and the blood-robed guards have all returned. If you can't do it, come back too. We don't lack these resources. Datura said. She was a little worried. The ice dragons were alert and would wake up from their slumber. Therefore, there was no chance of entering the ancestral land of the ice dragons. Bad. How can it not be bad? The treasure is not far from me. I have to try no matter what, Night Sorrow said. What treasure? Datura asked. Ever since Night Sorrow had arrived at the core of the ice dragon realm, Datura had not taken the initiative to contact Night Sorrow. He was mainly worried about affecting Night Sorrow, so he did not know about Night Sorrow's situation. The skeleton of the Ice Dragon King. Yishang said with a smile. You've arrived at the ancestral land of the Ice Dragon. Datura's eyes were filled with surprise. It's been a month, but we can't get our hands on the Ice Dragon's bones, Night Sorrow said. After that, Night Sorrow exited the dragon cauldron. He spun the heart crystal for Datura to take a look. Then, he returned to the dragon cauldron. So many ice dragon skeletons? How did you get in? Datura was shocked. Countless years had passed, and only the black-yellow great world had succeeded once. Now, Night Sorrow had touched the ancestral land of the ice dragons. This was very rare. Night Sorrow then explained the current situation. Dragon Array. You have to take it slow. If you can't do it, set up a teleportation array. Come back, I'll fight with you. Datura's eyes were filled with determination. She really wanted to help Night Sorrow. No, Aluo. I know you are very strong, but you don't know how many monarch rank ice dragons are out there. There is no hope in using force. As long as there is a situation here, those ice dragons will immediately surround and kill. I think there are still ice dragons alive, so it's useless for you to come. As long as you appear, there will be a big battle. Night Sorrow shook his head. Datura was worried about him, but he was also worried about Datura. He didn't want others to be implicated because of him. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Datura didn't say anything. This was the truth. Even if she entered the spatial treasure, the ice dragons would react the moment she appeared. It could even be said that the strongest expert of the ice dragon realm could arrive in an instant. Okay, take it slow. Datura nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow was infinitely close to success. Now, he just needed to be patient. After breaking the heart crystal, Night Sorrow continued to exert force on the dragon array. He wanted to change the array and create a passage. With Night Sorrow's current array Dao cultivation, if he didn't have to worry about breaking the dragon array, he might need time, but it definitely wouldn't be as strenuous as now. Now that there were dragons outside, Night Sorrow had to be careful. He didn't dare to move too much. While thinking and analyzing, Night Sorrow continued to use the flying claws to move the unrelated ice dragons. The flying claws he was using now were newly refined. It was a flying claw that could be grasped tightly with a pole. It was connected to the ice dragon's tendon on the ice dragon's skin net. It was very convenient to move the ice dragons. Every time Night Sorrow moved, he had thought it through carefully. In the Qing Emperor's dynasty, in the Qing Emperor's palace, in the Azure Sky Pavilion, the Qing Emperor was asking the Qing Emperor's guard about the situation this time. The Qing Emperor's guard reported all the details in detail. "You're saying that you haven't seen Night Sorrow since entering?" the Qing Emperor asked with a frown. "Yes. After entering the Ice Dragon realm, we separated from His Highness. We haven't seen him since," the temporary captain of the Qing Emperor's guard said. The Qing Emperor nodded. "Fill up the team and continue to wait for Night Sorrow at the entrance of the Ice Dragon realm. If any force ambushes him, kill without mercy." The Qing Emperor's guard left, but the Qing Emperor was still thinking. "Your Majesty, the ice dragons are now on guard. It's difficult to do anything in the Ice Dragon realm or even in the Ice Dragon realm. His Highness Night Sorrow should be back by now," Xian Dozi said. "That's normal, but when it comes to Night Sorrow, we can't use common sense. Maybe that guy is lying in some corner waiting for an opportunity. He's stubborn and resilient. If there's an opportunity, he won't let it go easily," the Qing Emperor said. "His only weakness is that his cultivation is a bit low. If His Highness Night Sorrow has the corresponding cultivation, some problems won't be a problem for him," Xian Dozi said. The Qing Emperor nodded. This was Night Sorrow's biggest weakness. It wasn't Night Sorrow's problem. It was that he hadn't been cultivating for long. Night Sorrow studied the dragon matrix every day. He moved bit by bit to make room for himself near the ice dragon's bones. As long as he could get near the ice dragon's bones, Night Sorrow would take the ice dragon's bones and run without hesitation. The ice dragon's bones were his main goal this time. As for the mystic ice unicorn king's bones, that was a completely unexpected gain. Night Sorrow was now like an ant moving a mountain. Every day, he would change the dragon's warm formation a little, moving it according to his own ideas and expectations. The process was very slow, but Night Sorrow didn't lack time. He did it slowly every day. In the 4th month since Night Sorrow entered the ancestral land of the ice dragons, a corner of the dragon matrix was completely changed by Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow opened a passage. Looking at the relatively stable dragon matrix, Night Sorrow felt that he could enter. Night Sorrow didn't dare to touch the ice dragon's bones guarding the dragon matrix, but there were 2 that had nothing to do with the dragon matrix. Chapter 1252. A genius will remember love in 1 second. I'll bring you a wonderful novel to read. Night Sorrow flashed into the 8-dragon cauldron and flew toward the center of the dragon swarm array through the passage he opened. After months of moving mountains, this was the last step. Night Sorrow was a little excited, but he was also very careful. After all, if something went wrong, all his previous efforts would be wasted. However, his early efforts were still very effective. Night Sorrow entered the dragon swarm array smoothly and approached the ice dragon skeleton on the left. This ice dragon skeleton had a stronger golden glow. Night Sorrow couldn't see its cultivation level. He could only rely on his senses, the length of its body, and the glow. Normal ice dragons were silver-white, but the ice dragon skeleton had a golden glow. The stronger the glow, the better. After exiting the 8-dragon cauldron, Night Sorrow began to set up the array. He couldn't be disturbed when he was collecting the ice dragon skeleton. He had to protect himself. Also, he had to escape after collecting the ice dragon skeleton. All of these required the array's interference. Night Sorrow set up his strongest array, the sky sealing illusion killing array, and it was a large-scale one. Near the ice dragon skeleton, without the interference of the dragon swarm array, he had no problem setting up the array. In order to ensure the array's strength, Night Sorrow spent a lot of money. He set it up for 3 days and used 20,000 Saint Spirit stones. In front of the Ice Dragon King's skeleton, Saint Spirit stones were nothing. If he could get the Ice Dragon King's skeleton, he would have made a fortune. Not to mention 20,000 Saint Spirit stones, even 1,000,000 or 10,000,000 Saint Spirit stones wouldn't be enough to exchange for the Ice Dragon King's skeleton. Saint Spirit stones could be earned and accumulated slowly, but the Ice Dragon King's skeleton was a heaven-defying treasure. After setting up the array, Night Sorrow didn't immediately activate it. If he did, there would be energy waves and the Ice Dragon skeleton would come earlier, which would be a waste of precious time. Looking up at the sky, Night Sorrow gritted his teeth. His soul power burst out and wrapped around the Ice Dragon skeleton, pulling it into the 8-dragon cauldron. The Ice Dragon skeleton began to tremble. It slowly moved away from the profound ice stone base it occupied. Night Sorrow knew that it was difficult to collect the Ice Dragon's bones. It should be said that in the ancestral land of the Ice Dragon, all the Ice Dragon's bones were not easy to collect, because the profound ice stone base was a suppressing array formation. The suppressing array formation under the Ice Dragon skeleton was even more powerful. Now, Night Sorrow wanted to pull the Ice Dragon skeleton down from the profound ice stone base and then put it into the 8-dragon cauldron. The trembling of the Ice Dragon skeleton caused the suppressing formation to break, causing intense tremors. Even the ground began to crack. P6 Night Sorrow didn't care about that. He just wanted to collect the Ice Dragon skeleton. Rumbling sounds continued to ring out as the cracks on the ground grew larger and larger. At this time, the guarding Ice Dragons noticed the commotion and rushed over. However, Night Sorrow discovered another problem. All the Ice Dragons couldn't enter the Myriad Dragon Great Formation. The Myriad Dragon Great Formation didn't only affect outsiders, it also restricted the Ice Dragons themselves. Only when the Ice Dragon's lifespan was nearing its end would the Ice Dragon Great Formation be imparted through a soul imprint. At this time, hundreds of Ice Dragons were roaring outside the Great Formation. There was nothing they could do if an outsider entered the ancestral land of the Ice Dragons to cause trouble. The Myriad Dragon Great Formation was a double-edged sword. It stopped intruders and also stopped the Ice Dragons from entering. At this time, Night Sorrow roared and put the Ice Dragon skeleton into the 8-dragon cauldron. At this time, Night Sorrow saw that there was still enough time. His body flashed and he went to the other Ice Dragon skeleton to collect it. Since the Myriad Dragon Great Formation could stop the Ice Dragons, he continued to collect it. He pulled the second Ice Dragon skeleton down the profound ice platform. At this time, the concentric crystal was vibrating, but Night Sorrow didn't have time to care. What time was it? Racing against time. A little bit of time could change the harvest and fate. After Night Sorrow collected the Ice Dragon's corpse, a 400-meter-long Ice Dragon appeared in the sky. It was shrouded in a golden halo. Ice Dragon. The strongest member of the Ice Dragon race and the patriarch of the Ice Dragon race. At this time, the Ice Dragon passed through the Myriad Dragon Great Formation and flew towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow waved his arm and threw out the Holy Spirit Stone. He activated the Heaven-Sealing Slaughter Lock formation and was about to escape. However, he discovered that there was a withered wooden staff under the second Ice Dragon skeleton. It emitted a mysterious aura. Collect. Good things couldn't be missed. Night Sorrow waved his left hand and put the staff into the dragon cauldron. Then, he took out the teleportation array disc with his right hand and was about to escape. Break. 10,000 Ice Seal. The Ice Dragon's huge claw slammed down and shattered the Heaven-Sealing Illusion Kill formation. Then, it opened its mouth and ice energy appeared, freezing the surroundings. Night Sorrow, who was about to teleport, stiffened. Everything came to a standstill. The Ice Dragon was overbearing. After coming out, it settled everything in 2 moves. Night Sorrow knew that he couldn't escape. The Ice Dragon was too strong. All his arrangements and plans were useless. Night Sorrow communicated with the 9 regions origin bead and poured a large portion of his soul power into it. The origin bead wrapped around the 8-dragon cauldron in Night Sorrow's body. Then, it floated out of Night Sorrow's body. Before the ice dragon could react, a purple halo erupted and melted the ice energy and the spatial barrier. It entered the spatial turbulence and disappeared. The ice dragon grabbed at the spatial turbulence with one of its front claws, but it grabbed nothing. With a roar, the ice dragon's body shook and turned into a middle-aged man wearing a white robe with golden patterns. Then, he grabbed at the void with his left arm and grabbed Night Sorrow in front of him. "What did you do?" "Lord Ice Dragon, first of all, I apologize. Although it's true that I sought an opportunity, I did disturb the Ice Dragon clan. Now that I've fallen into your hands, I have nothing to say." "You can do whatever you want with me," said Night Sorrow. "Survival of the fittest. It's not wrong for you to work hard for an opportunity. This king is guarding the ancestral land of the Ice Dragons. It's not wrong for him to capture and kill you. Your body is not an innate soul, but a doppelganger. But you should know that if the doppelganger dies, your trip to the Ice Dragon realm will be for nothing." "But what did you do just now?" The Ice Dragon looked at Night Sorrow and asked. "That's right. I used some secret method to send away all the important things I obtained from the Ice Dragon realm. You can say that it's just a doppelganger that you want to kill me." Night Sorrow knew that his doppelganger was going to die in the Ice Dragon realm. After all, he had taken 2 ice dragon skeletons. "Do you think this is what you have to face this king so calmly? You're wrong. You're sealed in ice, and the energy in your body is confined. You don't even have the right to self-destruct. If this king uses a secret method to seal your soul in ice, your original body will die as well. So, you'd better hand over the things," said the Ice Dragon as he sized up Night Sorrow. Chapter 1253. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/little? I'll bring you a wonderful novel to read. Then have you heard of the dragon language curse? That's a forbidden secret technique. This king doesn't want to go too far. It won't benefit either of us. This king only wants to solve the problem. Killing you is not his goal." The Ice Dragon thought for a moment and said, "This time, after going through so much trouble, I'm not satisfied with nothing. I'm very sorry for being disrespectful to my lord and the Ice Dragons. Also, I won't blaspheme the ancestors of the Ice Dragons. I won't destroy their bones. My goal is to set up a formation to protect them. Their bones will become the guardian deities." Night Sorrow didn't want to give up just like that. For the stability of the 9 domains world, he didn't care about losing a clone. "Your spirit sea is surrounded by golden light. You clearly have a body of merit. Why are you doing this?" the Ice Dragon asked in confusion. He knew that he could only talk now because Night Sorrow wasn't afraid. "This time, I'm really guilty. But for the stability of the 9 domains world and my hometown, I'm willing to pay the price. Even if my body of merit is destroyed, I won't hesitate. The stability and prosperity of a world is the result of the efforts of generations. I'm willing to pave the way with my body so that the future generations can walk more smoothly." Night Sorrow said. "This is a body of merit. You're willing to sacrifice yourself for others. Let's talk. I hope we can solve this peacefully. You can take away both Ice Dragon bones. This king definitely won't allow it because the bones of his Lord Father are among them. This king will definitely not allow anyone to take them away. No matter the price, this king will get them back, even if he has to fight to the end of the world." The Ice Dragon loosened his grip on Night Sorrow. No matter if it's a human or a demon beast, they all have the responsibility of a son. A son can't watch his father be disturbed in his eternal sleep. "My lord, which one do you want?" I'll send it back. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and nodded. He really couldn't bring himself to snatch his father's corpse in front of his son. Good. This king will not make things difficult for you if you take out the revelation scepter. This king's father's corpse is the one on the left of the 3 ice dragon skeletons. The ice dragon stated his request. What heavenly mandate scepter? Night Sorrow was stunned. It's the staff that you collected in the end. It's the sacred relic of us ice dragons, said the ice dragon. Good. Are you sure? Yi Shan asked. This king, as the leader of the ice dragons, is naturally a man of his word. In fact, you were able to come to the ancestral land of the ice dragons with the cultivation of a 4-star king and find the heavenly mandate scepter that the ice dragons had lost for countless years. Isn't this karma destined by the underworld? The ice dragon nodded. Night Sorrow then used his soul power to summon the origins of the 9 regions, which were not too far away. The origins of the 9 regions returned to their original positions. Night Sorrow placed the skeleton of the ice dragon's father in its original position. Then, he bowed to it and handed the withered wooden staff to the ice dragon. The other skeleton of the ice dragon was once a traitor of us ice dragons. This king's father forgave him and allowed him to return to the ancestral land of the ice dragons. So, after you take it, you can use it as the core of the formation. But please don't blaspheme it and don't use it as a material. The ice dragon took the revelation scepter and bowed to his father's skeleton. I won't. I can promise you this, Lord Ice Dragon, said Night Sorrow. F***CK. Okay, you can go back. This king thinks that you are the luckiest among all the people who came to the ice dragon realm this time, said the ice dragon. Lord, can I go to the ice dragon abyss for a while? Don't worry, I will definitely not do anything that will harm the ice dragons, said Night Sorrow. The ice dragon abyss is a holy land for the ice dragon clan, but it is indeed a dangerous place for you. However, this king will not stop you if you want to go. Take this. It has this king's aura on it. No ice dragons will attack you for 5 years. After 5 years, this ice jade will disappear. Take care of yourself, said the ice dragon. Thank you, Lord. I will restore this place to its original state. Then, Night Sorrow began to move the skeletons of the ice dragons that he had moved. He was afraid that there would be movement when he moved them, but it was much easier to move them back. While Night Sorrow was working, the ice dragon and the other ice dragons did not leave. In one day, Night Sorrow had completely restored the skeletons of the ice dragons. After saluting the ice dragon, Night Sorrow left the ancestral land of the ice dragons. He headed toward the ice dragon abyss. The ice dragon turned around to look at the ancestral land of the ice dragons and exited the great dragon matrix. Father, why did you let him go? Asked an ice dragon who had transformed into a young man. Because of the heavenly mandate scepter. The heavenly mandate scepter is related to resolving the trials of wind and fire. It has been lost for countless years. We can find it now because of him. Therefore, we ice dragons owe him. This time, some of our ice dragons died, but there is no mark on his body. It was not done by him, said the ice dragon. The ice dragons once again fell into silence. The ice dragons cultivated and did what they needed to do. However, they were more vigilant. The safety of the ancestral land of the ice dragons was very important. In the past, the ice dragons thought that it was absolutely safe, but Night Sorrow had really snuck in. If the ice dragon had not arrived in time, the 2 ice dragon skeletons would have been taken away by Night Sorrow. This kind of thing could not happen again. Night Sorrow returned to the place where he had come from near the ice dragon abyss. It was also the place with the most extreme cold currents and stayed there. He still planned to wait for the current cycle of the extreme cold currents to pass. Then, he would take the opportunity to continue waiting. With 5 years to collect materials, Yishan felt that he wouldn't lack materials for refining in the future. As for whether he would leave after 5 years, that was up to him. If the ice dragon didn't attack during these 5 years, he could still continue to collect materials even if he avoided the ice dragon for a while. Knight Sorrow stayed in the 8-dragon cauldron and carefully observed the ice dragon king's bones that were coiled together like a small mountain. The edges of every scale of the ice dragon king, which was at the level of an overlord, had a golden halo. This was because the space inside the 8-dragon cauldron was big enough. Otherwise, there would not be enough space for the skeletons of the ice dragon and the dark ice tiger king. Moreover, there were still 2 skeletons. Although one of them was damaged, its size was still there. Knight Sorrow felt that it was going very smoothly. Although he had returned one of the ice dragon skeletons, Knight Sorrow did not regret it. Not to mention other things, if the ice dragon wanted to return his father's skeletons as his son, there was no reason for him not to return it. It had nothing to do with strength or luck. While Knight Sorrow was comfortably drinking, Datura vibrated the concentric crystal again. Knight Sorrow took it out and connected it. Looking at Datura's pair of beautiful eyes, Knight Sorrow smiled and said, "Don't scold me yet. Look at what this is." Knight Sorrow turned the concentric crystal and showed Datura the ice dragon skeletons that were placed side by side with the dark ice tiger king's skeletons. "Ah! You really got it. Then why didn't you take the concentric crystal and did this instead?" Datura's face was full of surprise. Arriving at the ice dragon's ancestral land was one thing, and being able to obtain the skeletons of the ice dragon was another. It was not convenient at that time. This time, my efforts were not in vain. Fortunately, that ice dragon's temperament was good. Otherwise, it would have killed me with a slap. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. It would be a lie to say that he was not afraid. No one was willing to die. "You also met a living ice dragon?" Datura asked. Chapter 1254. Then, Knight Sorrow explained the reason why he returned the ice dragon skeleton, as well as the ice dragon's promise that it would not attack him for 5 years. "He specifically mentioned that scepter to you. It should be because that scepter is very important to the ice dragon. Everything has a cause and effect. No one can deny this. This way, you will be the safest in the core area of the ice dragon realm. Other than the ice dragon, there are no other monsters," Datura said with a smile. "It's like this. I plan to stay near the ice dragon abyss where there are the most extreme cold currents. I plan to cultivate a Ray Dao while collecting materials," Knight Sorrow said. "Okay, as long as you are safe." Datura nodded. She was really not worried now. With the ice jade with the aura of the ice dragon, no ice dragon would attack Knight Sorrow. Then that's it. Help me look after 7 Night City and the city in the sky. If you have time, bring the child to the heaven-sealing Great Hall, Knight Sorrow said to Datura. Datura nodded. She knew that Knight Sorrow's trip to the ice dragon realm was already over. He had done what he needed to do. The next step was to maximize the benefits. Knight Sorrow made a beast skin tent and stayed near the ice dragon abyss, waiting for the cycle of extreme cold currents. At the same time, he continued to study Ray Dao. The art of Ray Dao was to borrow the power of the heavenly way. It was a manifestation of the power of the heavenly way. Studying Ray Dao also had a great impact on one's battle strength. 3 months later, the normal extreme cold currents appeared again. Knight Sorrow took the ice dragon tendon net and continued to work. Even if it was a little hard, he did not feel tired when there was a harvest. In the Great Hall of the South Sky Dynasty, Shang Tianfeng sat on the main seat. "Emperor, we have subdued all the forces around 7 Night City." Yuan Qianba cupped his hands and said to Shang Tianfeng. The army under my command is also ready to attack Seven Night City at any time. Gong Yang Lai also bowed and said. Currently, the Black Heaven monarch is in seclusion. He won't participate in the internal strife. Right now, only the Big Dipper King might interfere. The other one is Yen Tianpe. We can ignore Yen Tianpe for now, but as for the Big Dipper King, this monarch will make a trip to the elemental spirit world to ask for help. At the very least, we have to restrict him. After we raise Seven Night City to the ground, he won't be able to change anything even if he jumps around a few times, said Shang Tianfeng. The rise of Seven Night City and Night Sorrow made Shang Tianfeng feel threatened. He felt that he had to destroy Night Sorrow's foundation and enter the nine-domain world through the teleportation formation. Shang Tianfeng already knew about the transfer array in Seven Night City. Now, he wanted to destroy Night Sorrow's foundation and take over the nine-domain world. Occupying a low-level world and then guarding the interrealm teleportation array would make the Tian-Nan dynasty the safest place. Shang Tianfeng's level was too low, so there were many things that he couldn't come into contact with. No one would tell him about the people that Night Sorrow could come into contact with, but he couldn't. Shang Tianfeng didn't know about Night Sorrow's situation in the world of reincarnation. If he did, he wouldn't have dared to touch Seven Night City. It was Night Sorrow's relationship with the Big Dipper King, the Xiantian dynasty, and some other people that made Shang Tianfeng feel threatened. It was the rapid development of Seven Night City that made Shang Tianfeng unable to sit still. Some people knew about the movements of the Tian-Nan dynasty. Xian Yu went to Seven Night City and told Tai Shu Yan, who was in charge of Seven Night City. Thank you, Prince Qian Yu. We will make some preparations. Tai Shu Yan gestured to Qian Yu. Qian Yu was a half-step king and a prince of the Xiantian dynasty, so Tai Shu Yan attached great importance to etiquette. I'm friends with Night Sorrow. His business is my business. Later, I'll talk to my father and mobilize people to Seven Night City, Qian Yu said. I'll talk to Night Sorrow about this before making a decision, Tai Shu Yan said. She could deal with the development of Seven Night City, but when it came to war, she had to ask Night Sorrow. That's fine. You can send a message to the Xiantian dynasty at any time. As long as Seven Night City needs help, there's no problem. When Night Sorrow returns, tell him to find me for a drink. Qian Yu left after speaking. He knew Night Sorrow's current situation. He didn't need to appear at all, but as a friend, he had to come. North Star also received the news. She directly teleported to the city in the sky. Xiao Lanjun didn't stop her. When she arrived at the city in the sky, she found Wu Lingfei and asked her for her opinion. The core of the Nine Regions world is Night Sorrow, and the core of Seven Night City is also Night Sorrow. I'll go to the Sky Ceiling Hall later to talk to him, Wu Lingfei said. She wanted to fight, but she didn't have the strength. She was now a peak Saint King and had begun to comprehend her will, but she still wasn't a king. There's no need to talk to Night Sorrow about this. I'll take care of it, Datura, who had been wearing a veil and listening to their conversation, said. Ah Luo, you'll take care of it? Wu Lingfei asked. Yes, but it'll be a little troublesome. Datura nodded. Yes, this is a confrontation between two forces. It'll involve a lot of things, Bei Xing said. Night Sorrow insisted on taking care of the Tian-Nan dynasty personally. If he hadn't insisted, we would have just destroyed it, Wu Lingfei said. She was referring to the fact that she could not kill him directly. She had to use other methods to do so. Bei Xing was stunned. She didn't know who Datura was, so she felt that his words were a little too arrogant. After all, the Tian-Nan dynasty also had 3 kings and a very powerful old emperor. When the old emperor and the Yi clan were still alive, they were even stronger than the Big Dipper city. Now, many people didn't want to provoke the Tian-Nan dynasty because of the old emperor. Then what does Luo plan to do? Wu Lingfei asked. Night Sorrow doesn't have time to deal with this at the moment. Let's slow down the situation for now. I'll send someone to break the legs of their kings and let them recover for 3 to 5 years. The situation will stabilize until Night Sorrow returns, Datura said. Ah Luo, your idea is a little too bad, but it's also the most direct and effective method, Yu Qing said with a smile. Auntie also thinks it's appropriate. Let's do it that way, Datura nodded. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, Xing, stay for dinner. Don't worry about this. It'll be fine, Yu Qing said to Bei Xing. Bei Xing was a little stunned. She didn't understand why Yu Qing and the others were so calm. However, since Yu Qing and Wu Lingfei both trusted Datura, she couldn't say anything else. After dinner in Sky City and returning to Big Dipper City, Bei Xing went directly to the Big Dipper villa where her father lived. Xing, is here, Big Dipper King, who was talking to Greedy Wolf King, said to his daughter. I went to Night Sorrow's house and told them about the Tiannan dynasty, but they didn't care. A woman said she would deal with it. She was too casual about it. Bei Xing was still a little worried. You're worried because you don't understand. King gestured for Bei Xing to sit down. Chapter 1255. Xing Heir, which power do you think is the scariest in the Tianxian world? Big Dipper King asked his daughter to sit down. The Xiantian dynasty, of course. It's under the command of the monarch of Xiantian, said Bei Xing. No. A few mystic sky majestic empires wouldn't be as powerful as a single 7-night city. Of course, only a limited number of people know about this. The Moon Demon Realm Lord is dead and has completely fallen. The Zhangyan sovereign doesn't dare to appear. Why? Because he offended Night Sorrow. Not to mention the Tianxian world, even in the continent of the 9 clouds, no one can touch Chia City. It's just that some people don't know about it. I know some secrets because I have a good relationship with the monarch of Xiantian. Big Dipper King looked at his daughter. Master, is Night Sorrow's influence so big now? Big Dipper King was also very shocked. In the last battle of the continent of the 9 clouds, Night Sorrow killed the monarch of Zhangyun and severely injured the monarch of the Moon Demon sector. Shang Tianfeng was also there at that time, but he didn't think too much about it. In his heart, Night Sorrow was just a nobody, but in fact, Night Sorrow's guards were all monarchs. It was Night Sorrow who led the last battle. Shang Tianfeng is now obsessed. He thinks he can touch Chia City just because he has some connections with the monarch of the Yuanling world. He's finished, Big Dipper King said. Those people didn't come to protect the 9 regions world. Big Dipper King asked in surprise. Many people think so. They are Night Sorrow's subordinates. The news came from Monarch Shinshao. Monarch Shinshao has friends in the world of reincarnation, so he knows some things. He told Monarch Xiantian some things, and Monarch Xiantian mentioned it to me. Night Sorrow is now the 4th majesty of the Qing Emperor's dynasty in the world of reincarnation, and he is the most important one. He controls 7 armies, and the generals of each army are monarchs. His 30 guards are all kings, and the captain is a monarch, Big Dipper King said. That means Shang Tianfeng really doesn't have a chance to make a comeback. Monarch Greedy Wolf's eyes were filled with shock. During the last realm war, Night Sorrow only brought his personal guards with him, not his army. The Demon Moon Sovereign is dead. After that realm war, he ran back to the Demon Moon realm, but he was still killed. According to reliable sources, it was a woman in a black silk dress who killed him. At that time, she said that to offend Night Sorrow was to be blind, Big Dipper King said. In fact, he had not thought that Night Sorrow would develop so quickly. I just saw a woman in a black dress in the city in the sky. She said she would send someone to the South Sky Dynasty to break all of King's legs and severely injure him. Then she would delay the situation until Night Sorrow returns, North Star said. That's right. Seven Night City is not afraid of any provocation. Big Dipper King sighed. Father, aren't the princes the sons and daughters of the emperor? North Star asked. In the Qing Emperor's dynasty, the disciples of the Qing Emperor are equivalent to his children. Currently, the status of the Qing Emperor's disciples is far higher than his children. Let's not talk about it anymore. Let's wait and see. Big Dipper King did not want to talk about this topic because it involved too much personal matters. This guy is doing so well. Why didn't he say anything? North Star was somewhat dissatisfied. He is not a flamboyant person. This is his character. Big Dipper King admired Night Sorrow's character very much. Even if he had the strength, he was still very low-key. 2 days later, a rather shocking thing happened in the profound sky world. The South Sky Dynasty was destroyed by a single person. Monarch Shang Tianfeng was severely injured, and so were his subordinates, Yuan Qianba and Gong Yonglai. Most people did not know who did it, but there were still people who knew the inside story. The people in the city in the sky knew, and so did the people in the Big Dipper city. At this time, North Star understood that Datura was a ruthless person and really did not take this matter seriously. Shang Tianfeng also knew the reason, because the expert who attacked him was not from the profound sky world. An outsider attacking him made him understand that this was related to Night Sorrow. After that, the South Sky Dynasty moved on a large scale because they could no longer survive in the profound sky world. Shang Tianfeng did not come into contact with the higher levels, but he was not stupid. Originally, Shang Tianfeng was still worried that someone would stop him, but the move went very smoothly. In fact, no one cared if he moved or not. Datura did not care either. No matter where Shang Tianfeng went, she could catch him and deal with him. If Monarch Origin Spirit dared to protect Shang Tianfeng, then she would not be polite and would kill him together. Monarch Origin Spirit took Shang Tianfeng, but he did not know the situation. If he knew that it involved so much, Monarch Origin Spirit would not have dared to accept him. Datura told Wu Lingfei and the others that after Night Sorrow was going to fight, they would go to the profound sky world and kill whoever dared to stop them. Night Sorrow stayed in the beast skin tent, feeling the natural charm of the world of ice and snow, enjoying the impact of this environment. Every day, he studied Array Dao, and at the same time, waited for the cycle of the extreme cold current. After 2 months, the extreme cold current changed and became a normal extreme cold current, which also carried ores and resources. Night Sorrow became busy, the ice dragon skin tendon net in his hands constantly attacking. Occasionally, ice would come over and stare at Night Sorrow angrily, mainly because it saw the huge net in Night Sorrow's hands. Night Sorrow explained and apologized helplessly, saying that he saw a broken ice dragon skeleton and did not destroy it on purpose. No matter what, he had trampled on the ice dragon's dignity. With regards to Night Sorrow's explanation, the ice dragon's attitude changed, but it was not very friendly. Let's go. A year passed like this, and Night Sorrow's cultivation improved again. This time, he entered the 2-star king realm. When Night Sorrow's original body was comprehending will, he also took resources to cultivate, so that his energy cultivation could keep up with his realm. In the Ice Dragon Hall, Ice Dragon, who had transformed into a human, was studying the heavenly mandate scepter in his hand. A young man stood beside him. Father, that guy is still in that area. Every day, he studies array discs, cultivates battle techniques, and then fishes for materials in the extreme cold current. The hateful thing is that he used the ice dragon skin tendon net made from the bodies of our clansmen, the young man said. How dare he? Ice Dragon was a little angry. He explained and apologized. It's a broken skeleton of our clansmen. I studied the huge net, and it's true. The dragon's skin is lacking in energy, and it's not the skeleton of an ice dragon that died in a short time, the young man said. If it's a broken skeleton that died in the past, then forget it. It's survival of the fittest. In this world, no one is right or wrong. His attainments in array formation are very deep. This king will find him another day and see what he thinks about the heavenly mandate scepter, Ice Dragon said, looking at the scepter in his hand. He's too young. How can he understand? The young man shook his head. It has nothing to do with age. Our ancestors studied the heavenly mandate scepter for a long time, but there was no result, Ice Dragon said. Chapter 1256. The young man nodded and did not speak. This was the truth. The heavenly mandate scepter had been lost for an era, but the ancestors of the ice dragons had been studying it, but they did not understand it. In the history of the ice dragons, there was a fortune teller. He divined that if the ice dragons wanted to avoid the tribulation of wind and fire, they had to look at the heavenly mandate scepter. The heavenly mandate scepter could solve this problem. But in fact, countless years had passed. The heavenly mandate scepter was still there, but so was the tribulation of wind and fire. In the previous era, an outstanding member of the ice dragons appeared. He felt that the heavenly mandate scepter was a magic treasure, a protective magic treasure, but no ice dragons could understand it. He stole the heavenly mandate scepter and left the land of the ice dragons. The heavenly mandate scepter disappeared. When the tribulation of wind and fire arrived, this outstanding member, who was already an ice dragon, returned. His life force was taken away by the tribulation of wind and fire, just like the other ice dragons. Seeing that he had reached the end of his life, the clan leader, who was the father of the current ice dragon, forgave him and allowed him to enter the land of the ice dragons. When the ice dragon's clan leader thought of the heavenly mandate scepter and went to the ancestral land of the ice dragons to find him, this member of the ice dragons had already fallen. Then, the clan leader of the ice dragons also fell. The current ice dragon was very young back then. He was a 7th level saint level ice dragon, but he knew about these things. On Night Sorrow, when he was grabbing the best materials in the cold current, the ice dragon came. Night Sorrow, who had collected the materials, looked at the ice dragon tendon net in his hand and was a little embarrassed. He cupped his hands to the ice dragons and said, I told the other ice dragons that I did not harm them when I came out of the ancestral land of the ice dragons. This is an ice dragon with a damaged body that I found in the past. Let's not talk about this anymore. You didn't do anything wrong, but as ice dragons, we definitely feel uncomfortable seeing our clansmen end up like this, the ice dragon said. Night Sorrow invited Ice Dragon into the tent and handed Ice Dragon a jar of wine. The ice dragons live in the ice dragon realm and hardly communicate with the outside world. It has been like this for many years. This time, you came and communicated with us for the first time in countless years. It's not easy for us ice dragons. After an era, the trials of wind and fire will come. It's coming soon. The ice dragon opened the wine jar and took a sip. Hair, can't it be resolved? Night Sorrow asked. He naturally knew how much damage the ice dragons could cause to the wind and fire tribulations. No, you saw the bones in the ice dragon ancestral land. So many ancestors died in the wind-fire tribulation. Ice Dragon shook his head. Nothing is absolute. Don't give up. Night Sorrow sighed from the bottom of his heart. This king came to you to ask for your help. It's about the trials of wind and fire. Help this king take a look at the heavenly mandate scepter and tell me what you think. The Ice Dragon handed the heavenly mandate scepter to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow is young and inexperienced. Is this appropriate? Night Sorrow was a little stunned. He didn't expect the Ice Dragon to ask for his help. There's nothing inappropriate. Countless ancestors of the ice dragons have been studying the heavenly mandate scepter, but to no avail. Perhaps you have a different opinion. The ice dragon nodded. Night Sorrow took the heavenly mandate scepter and began to look at it. The heavenly mandate scepter was like a piece of dead wood, but it was extremely heavy in his hand. After carefully examining it for a while, Night Sorrow discovered that the dense patterns on the heavenly mandate scepter looked like a matrix. Or rather, it was a matrix. My lord, this seems to be a large matrix, and it's of a very high level. It's not something that can be understood in a short period of time, Night Sorrow said. Because of the inheritance, ice dragons are not good at matrices. In this king's memory, there is only one dragon matrix. Generations of ice dragons tried to refine the heavenly mandate scepter, but they all thought that the patterns were a map or a technique. In the end, they got nothing. This king represents the ice dragons. Please help us once and see if we can figure out anything. The ice dragon cupped his hands at Night Sorrow, his eyes filled with pleading and respect. My lord, you're too polite. I still have time, so I'll help you take a look. Night Sorrow did not refuse. His matrices cultivation had just entered the high-level heavenly master level, and he was probably just getting close. This was because he had only studied 2 matrices. His understanding of matrices was not enough, and he still needed to study them at a deeper level. The ice dragon did not leave and stayed in the tent. However, under the influence of his energy, the natural climate of this area became better. Night Sorrow also had things to do. With the extreme cold current, he continued to collect treasures. Without the extreme cold current, he studied the heavenly mandate scepter. The days passed like this. Night Sorrow occasionally chatted with Datura. Knowing about Night Sorrow's current situation, Datura was even more relieved. She was also sincerely impressed that Night Sorrow and the ice dragon could coexist peacefully in the same tent. The patterns of the heavenly mandate scepter were vast and profound. Night Sorrow worked hard every day to study them and then engraved them on paper. 3 years had passed, and Night Sorrow had engraved hundreds of matrices with dense patterns. His understanding of the heavenly mandate scepter had also deepened. The ice dragon could only wait. Countless years had passed, and the ice dragons could not do anything about the heavenly mandate scepter. Now, Night Sorrow had some results. At the very least, he had researched something. After copying all the patterns of the heavenly mandate scepter, Night Sorrow studied them one by one. Although the ice dragon did not understand, he was also very interested in watching from the side. It just so happened that the extreme cold current was swirling. Night Sorrow sat down and studied slowly. Don't be in a hurry. Take your time. The ice dragon could tell that Night Sorrow was really diligent in his research and did not waste any time. I'm not in a hurry, but my lord is. I've been here for 7 years. If I can finish my research as soon as possible and help the ice dragons once, I won't feel guilty coming to the ice dragon realm this time, Night Sorrow said. After taking the skeleton of the ice dragon, Night Sorrow really felt that he owed the ice dragons. The ice dragon smiled. You're being honest. The trials of wind and fire have troubled the ice dragons for countless years. Generations of ancestors have fallen. This king is still a little anxious, but you don't have to be too stressed. I have a feeling now that the sealing and sealing effect of this matrix is very strong. If it's set up, it can seal and seal almost everything. However, I feel like it's a cultivation method. If it's really a cultivation method, then it's a very powerful sealing and sealing secret technique. It also has a great sealing effect on one's own energy. If the energy does not leak out, then it will have a great advantage in battle, Night Sorrow said. Wait, say that again. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, the ice dragon said somewhat anxiously. It's a matrix with a very powerful sealing and sealing effect, Night Sorrow said. No, that's not it, the Ice Dragon King said. It could also be a cultivation method with a very powerful sealing and sealing secret technique. It can control one's own energy and not leak out, Night Sorrow said as he sorted out the matrix. Chapter 1257. That's it. That's it. If we can make it so that no energy leaks, does that mean that we can lock our own vitality and prevent it from being taken away by the trials of wind and fire? Ice Dragon asked excitedly. Humans and monsters, no matter how strong they were, would lose some of their own energy. If they had good control, they would lose less energy in battle, and their battle power would last longer. Just like sweat and blood, they would lose their own energy. Yes, that's what it means. But whether it can be done, I'm not sure. Night Sorrow understood that the direction of the Heavenly Mandate Scepter's research might be right. I hope. You've given us hope. Ice Dragon was a little excited. Then continue to work hard and see what's going on. What we've researched so far is just the surface. Night Sorrow shook his head. Let's go. Don't stay here any longer. Let's go to the Ice Dragon Palace. This king's sons will enjoy it. Let them send all the good wine and beauties to the Ice Dragon Palace. Ice Dragon said to Night Sorrow. I'm not going. I have to continue collecting the treasures in the extreme cold current. I'll study the diagram when I have the time. Night Sorrow shook his head. Dragons love to collect. In this king's opinion, even dragons aren't as greedy as you. There are plenty of treasures in the extreme cold current in the Ice Dragon Palace. You can take whatever you want. Let's go. Without waiting for Night Sorrow to speak, Ice Dragon's energy wrapped around Night Sorrow and brought him to the main hall of the Ice Dragon Palace. Ants. Standing in the Ice Dragon Palace, Night Sorrow felt like an ant. The throne in the main hall was so big, and the seats on both sides were mysterious ice platforms. They were also incomparably huge. To me, this is no different from being outside. Night Sorrow said with a bitter smile. Don't worry. Wait a moment. Ice Dragon waved his arm, and a light wave was released from the main hall. A moment later, more than 10 huge ice dragons flew over. Transform. Transform for this king. Ice Dragon waved his sleeves and roared. Following that, the dozen or so ice dragons transformed into human forms. There were both men and women. Sita, give this king some space in your courtyard. This king wants to live in it. Ice Dragon said to one of the men. The man bowed and accepted the order. He didn't understand what was going on. Shiyu, arrange for 2 of your maids to be sent to Shitai's courtyard. Ice Dragon instructed another woman. And you guys, send all the good wine to the side courtyard. Do it immediately. Ice Dragon waved his hand to chase them away. Is that appropriate? Night Sorrow asked with a bitter smile. It's suitable. If they can figure out something, it will save their lives. Why can't the Ice Dragon stay in the Ice Dragon realm for countless years? Without the suppression of the Ice Dragon realm's extreme cold, the king-level ice dragons will be punished by the heavens when they leave the Ice Dragon realm. It's the wind tribulation and the fire tribulation. The outside world is nothing to others, but to us ice dragons, it's an extravagant hope to even take a look. Ice Dragon's words were filled with emotion. Don't worry. If I don't figure it out, I'll just stay here until the time limit is reached. There are still more than 20 years. I'm not a fool. I'll definitely get results. Night Sorrow also made a promise. The tragedy of the ice dragons also made Night Sorrow feel a little emotional. In addition, it also improved his cultivation in the Array Dao. After chatting for a while, Ice Dragon brought Night Sorrow to a side courtyard. The scenery in the side courtyard was not bad, and the size of the structure was also similar to that of a human's residence. This king has a piece of 10,000 years warm jade here. You'll be able to get used to it. Ice Dragon took out a large piece of white jade from his sleeve and placed it in the middle of the courtyard. Read novels free of ZF Night Sorrow felt much warmer. He took out the heavenly mandate scepter and continued to study it. Not long after, someone came with good wine and 2 maidservants. They were both dragon girls. In the following days, Night Sorrow studied the heavenly mandate scepter every day. Its complexity was comparable to the 9 serenities slaughtering god formation. Ice Dragon's children also came often. They now knew what Night Sorrow was doing. He was helping the Ice Dragons. After a few months of research, Night Sorrow could confirm that the patterns on the heavenly mandate scepter were a combination of a formation and a cultivation technique. Lord Dragon King, I can confirm that it's a formation and a cultivation technique. However, I don't know if it's right or wrong. If you want to know, you can only deduce it during cultivation, Night Sorrow said. This king is here. This king will be the test subject. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't care about this king. It doesn't matter if it's wrong. You said that you can do anything for your hometown. This king can do anything for his people, Ice Dragon said. Let's do it together. I can feel the flaws in my own cultivation. If it's wrong, it'll be bad luck. But if it's successful, it'll be equivalent to me cultivating the ultimate technique of you dragons, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Let's cut the pleasantries. Let's continue our research, Ice Dragon said. This formation and cultivation technique came from the heavenly mandate scepter. It's fine to call it the heavenly mandate scripture, but it can also be called the leakless scripture. Next, let's cultivate it together. We'll experiment with the left arm first. If it's successful, we'll continue. If it's a failure, we'll break it. We'll continue with the broken limb. Night Sorrow was very persistent in cultivating. This king likes your boldness. Let's do it. Ice Dragon was influenced by Night Sorrow's words and vigor. He felt that Night Sorrow's indomitable spirit really needed to be learned. Formations were also cultivation techniques. Night Sorrow first created a large number of meteoric iron needles, then drew a formation diagram and showed it to Ice Dragon. The points on this diagram are the energy points. Later, we'll insert the meteoric iron needles into the arm and mark it with the meteoric iron needles. Then, we'll gather the energy at the energy points and take root. Then, the energy will flow according to the route of this cultivation technique, which is the route of the formation. Okay, I'll listen to you. Ice Dragon had no objections at all. Night Sorrow and Ice Dragon began to cultivate the leakless scripture according to the formation diagram and the route of the cultivation technique. Their bodies merged with the formation and changed the strength of their bodies. It was painful, very painful. Yishang had cultivated the myriad Dao's treasured book and had experienced all kinds of pain, so he could endure it. The Ice Dragon King was in so much pain that he grimaced. He had never experienced this kind of pain before. The Ice Dragon race was born with a strong body. After another round of cultivation, Ice Dragon wiped his forehead. Brat, doesn't it hurt? It hurts. It'll be fine once you get used to it. I've already condensed half of the formation points here. We'll know the results in a few days, Night Sorrow said as he looked at his left arm. You've already condensed half, but this king is not even halfway. You're more than 100 years old. It's not a coincidence or luck that you have such achievements. Ice Dragon looked at Night Sorrow and understood something. Then, the man and dragon continued to cultivate. 2 months later, Night Sorrow finished condensing all the energy points of the heavenly mandate formation in his left arm. Lord Dragon King, the next step is to prove whether or not it's a success. Night Sorrow reached out and pulled out the meteoric iron needles on his left arm. Chapter 1258. Ice Dragon had not finished cultivating yet, but he was looking forward to the results of Night Sorrow's cultivation. He was even a little excited because if he succeeded, he would have a chance to resist the trials of wind and fire. The power of desolates erupted from Yishang's body and circulated to every part of his body. At this moment, the effect appeared. Every part of Yishang's body had a surging energy aura, but only his left arm did not move. However, Yishang knew very well that the energy in his body was uniform. "Come, Lord Dragon King, feel my left arm." Night Sorrow nodded at Ice Dragon. Ice Dragon went forward and placed 2 fingers on Night Sorrow's left arm. He was overjoyed because he could feel the surging energy in Night Sorrow's left arm, but it did not leak out at all. Taking 2 steps back, Ice Dragon bowed to Night Sorrow. "My lord, what are you doing?" Night Sorrow went forward and helped Ice Dragon up. "Because yes, your research is correct. As long as you can lock the life force in your body and prevent it from being sucked out, even if only a part of it is left, we ice dragons will not be helpless against the trials of wind and fire. Therefore, you are the benefactor of ice dragons." "Receiving a bow from this king is nothing," Ice Dragon said. "It's good that it's useful. When the whole body is cultivated, I think the effect of locking the energy in my body will be even stronger. As I cultivate, the fire will deepen, and the power will also increase." Night Sorrow was also very excited because this was also his achievement. "Haha! Don't be anxious, really don't be anxious. Let the trials of wind and fire come. Let's see if my ice dragons can withstand it. Come, Night Sorrow, let's not go home until we are drunk today." Ice Dragon was very happy. 1 man and 1 dragon began to drink in the courtyard. The dragon's wine jug was also very big. In fact, it was just a jug. Night Sorrow had drunk too much and the dragon's wine was too strong. When Night Sorrow woke up, there were many ice dragons in the courtyard. The ice dragon's son, Sita, and daughter, Shiyu were both there. "Night Sorrow, thank you." Sita and Shiyu bowed to Night Sorrow. They already knew the situation from their father. /top, call me uncle from now on. Night Sorrow is this king's friend, a friend who has gone through thick and thin together. Ice Dragon said as he shook off the wine on his robe. He had drunk too much and his clothes were in a mess. "My lord, that won't do. Night Sorrow is still young. How can I let the crown prince and princess address me like that?" Night Sorrow hurriedly waved his hands. His head was still a little dizzy. "Then you can call this king uncle. This matter is settled." Ice Dragon made the decision. He was really happy. When he was king, he had solved the ice dragon's big problem. "Father, if we cultivate it successfully, we can at least withstand the wind trial and the fire trial, right? Then we can leave the ice dragon realm," Shiyu asked excitedly. "Of course. However, this heavenly mandate scripture is really difficult to cultivate. Perhaps it is because the body is too big. Night Sorrow's arm is effective. This king is still far from it. However, the path is right. We can slowly cultivate it in the future," Ice Dragon said. "Since it is right, then I will organize it properly and completely organize the cultivation method. However, this will take a lot of time," Night Sorrow said. "Just cultivate the right arm, legs, and body according to the method of cultivating the left arm," Shitai said. "That's not the case. It's not like that. I've been studying a corner of the heavenly mandate matrix during this period of time. It's about cultivating the left arm. Cultivating the left arm is cultivating the left arm. It's different from the right arm and the other parts of the body. This is equivalent to setting up a large matrix in the body. If there's a little conflict or illogic, it will completely collapse and not achieve a flawless effect," Ishan explained. Things were not as simple as Shitai thought. This is how the matrix is. It is a meticulous job. It is not that easy to pull one part and affect the whole body. Ice Dragon nodded. Sorry, I thought too simply. I didn't know that you had to put in so much effort. Shitai bowed to Night Sorrow. After that, Night Sorrow continued to study and organize the Heavenly Mandate Matrix. However, it was really difficult. Night Sorrow's right arm had been destroyed twice. Fortunately, King could regenerate it. If the energy points were not right, the right arm would have to be cut off. The energy points of the matrix had imprints. It could not be continuously lost as it would affect the following cultivation. However, ice dragons did not lack treasures that could replenish their body's energy. Restoring the body was not difficult for Night Sorrow. 3 months later, Night Sorrow's right arm was also completed. Ice Dragon was still cultivating his left arm. His body was a several hundred jang long ice dragon. Naturally, it was very difficult for him to cultivate it. Every time, he would grimace in pain. Next was the heart, which was the setting up of the matrix and cultivation of the internal organs. Night Sorrow worked hard every day to deduce. He first set up the matrix in the courtyard. When the matrix was effective and flawless, Night Sorrow then went to cultivate. The days passed as Night Sorrow continued to deduce. The Qing Emperor's dynasty quieted down, but Night Sorrow's name had been imprinted in some people's hearts. He was the first commander of the empire. Seven Night City was also very quiet. No one dared to provoke Seven Night City. The influence of the Ice Dragon realm was also relatively reduced. However, there were still some people who formed new teams and moved around the periphery to collect some resources. Night Sorrow's doppelganger and Ice Dragon studied and cultivated the Heavenly Mandate True Scripture together. His original body worked hard to improve his realm and cultivation. In the 12th year after Night Sorrow entered the Ice Dragon realm, his comprehension of the Wheel of Time entered the stage of 30% and he became a 3-star King of Time. In the 16th year, Night Sorrow's Will of Space also entered the stage of 30% and he became a 3-star King of Space. In the same year, Night Sorrow successfully merged the Will of Time and Space, becoming the Will of Time and Space. Ice Dragon saw every change in Night Sorrow. He also understood what a genius was and what a monster was. In addition, he knew that the time and space attributes were not Night Sorrow's main attributes. This was because Night Sorrow showed that he was a 4-star king. However, Ice Dragon did not check and did not know what attributes he had. It would be disrespectful to check. Night Sorrow's original body took the resources to cultivate. His cultivation and realm were synchronized. Night Sorrow's doppelganger's abilities continued to improve. In the 10th year after entering the Ice Dragon realm, Night Sorrow cultivated the Heavenly Mandate True Scripture, which was the leakless True Scripture. He only did not cultivate his left leg and his manhood. This day, Night Sorrow was a little depressed. Today was Yi Qingyan's 20th birthday. In the past few years, Night Sorrow and his family often met in the heaven-sealing Great Hall. However, he did not accompany his child for a walk or guide her in her cultivation. This was because his doppelganger in the heaven-sealing Great Hall was also deducing the matrix. Brother Yi, what's wrong? Shiyu, who was making tea on the side, asked. Today is my daughter's 20th birthday. I've been in the Ice Dragon realm for 10 years. Night Sorrow's heart was filled with longing. This is something to be happy about. How about this? As her aunt, although I've seen her before, I still have to give her a gift. This is a detoxification pearl. If you carry it with you, you'll be immune to all poisons. Shiyu took out a light blue pearl and handed it to Yishang. After taking the pearl, Night Sorrow continued to look at Shiyu. Don't you know that I have a son and a daughter? In another month, my son's birthday will also be here. Chapter 1259. All right. I'll give it to you. This is soul steel. You're an armorer. Make your own soul armor. Shiyu shook her head helplessly. They had spent a lot of time together over the years and treated each other as equals. Their relationship was also very deep. Ha! Not bad. Thank you, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Night Sorrow, don't be too stressed. In fact, the heavenly mandate scripture can already solve the problem at this point. At worst, your left leg will be taken away by the trials of wind and fire. If you can survive, you can just regrow your broken limb, Ice Dragon said. Yes, Brother Yi, you've worked hard over the years. Shitai also entered the side yard. Night Sorrow shook his head. Shitai and the others were amateurs, so they didn't know the details. The heavenly mandate scripture is also the leakless scripture. If you don't cultivate it completely, then there are leaks. It doesn't match the true meaning, so the effect will be much worse. The remaining difficulty will be very high. Isn't it just missing the left leg now? How can it be difficult? Shiyu looked at Night Sorrow and asked, puzzled. Ice Dragon and Shitai also looked at Night Sorrow. They felt that the heavenly mandate scripture was not far from perfection. All these years, Uncle Lai has cultivated it. Brother Shitai has also cultivated it. Why can't I let you cultivate it? Because you're a woman. Heaven and earth are divided into yin and yang. We men cultivate the yang formation. If you cultivate it, you won't be able to cultivate part of it. That's why it's incomplete. So, after the yang formation is completed, I will continue to study the yin formation, Night Sorrow explained. Ice Dragon's name was Shi Lai, and Night Sorrow called him Uncle Lai. I see. Brother Yi, you've worked hard. Shiyu bowed to Night Sorrow. Shiyu, you don't have to worry. If the time is up and I haven't finished my research, this avatar of mine will leave. But I will arrange for someone around me to cultivate a soul avatar that can send messages over and tell you the results of my research at any time, Night Sorrow said. Shiyu nodded vigorously. Ha! Does your heart still ache when you give my son and daughter treasures? Yishan asked with a smile. What are you talking about? When have I, Shiyu, ever felt heartache? Shiyu rolled her eyes at Night Sorrow. You really shouldn't feel bad about this. If Brother Yi didn't study the heavenly mandate scepter all these years and just stayed near the extreme cold current, who knows how many treasures he would have collected. But don't worry, Brother Yi. When Brother Yi leaves, Sita, will give you a big gift, Sita said. Actually, my study of the heavenly mandate scepter and the scripture of heavenly mandate has been of great help to the ice dragons, but it has also improved my own strength a lot. When the day comes that I have great achievements and the trials of wind and fire come, I will have a leakless body. There is nothing I can't do. I have nothing to fear, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Good courage. Ice Dragon clapped his hands. He admired Night Sorrow's confidence. There was nothing he couldn't do. Brother Yi, there is naturally nothing I can't do. In those years, the Ice Dragons chased after the Star King's team all over the Ice Dragon realm. Brother Yi, the 4-star king, entered the ancestral land of the Ice Dragons alone. This proves that as long as Brother Yi wants to, he can definitely do it. Sita was originally somewhat dissatisfied with Night Sorrow because of the Ice Dragon tendon net. After understanding the situation and getting along with him for more than 10 years, she now admired Night Sorrow very much. In the 21st year since Night Sorrow entered the Ice Dragon realm, Night Sorrow finished organizing the Yang chapter of the Scripture of Heavenly Mandate. He also completed his cultivation and achieved the leakless real body. The Ice Dragons held a grand celebration. All the members of the Ice Dragons transformed into their human forms and held a banquet to celebrate. They also expressed their gratitude to Night Sorrow. The Ice Dragons' dragon ladies were also very enthusiastic about Night Sorrow. They knew that Night Sorrow was going to study the Yin chapter of the Scripture of Heavenly Mandate for their sake. Many dragon ladies were also very interested in Night Sorrow. However, Night Sorrow did not have any thoughts about it. This was also something that Ice Dragon was puzzled about. He arranged for maids to serve Night Sorrow. However, Night Sorrow did everything by himself. He almost did not look at them directly, even if they were the best of the dragon's beauties. Night Sorrow, don't you plan to marry one? There are many people at the banquet who are interested in you, Ice Dragon said with a smile. I have a good wife at home. I feel sorry for them when I'm away from home all year round, so I don't have any thoughts about it. Night Sorrow was not the kind of person who discriminated against races, but he had a strong sense of family. In the 24th year since he entered the Ice Dragon realm, Night Sorrow finished studying the Yin chapter of the Scripture of Heavenly Mandate. The matrix he set up was also working perfectly. Shiyu, there's no problem with the matrix. The technique and the matrix master complement each other. If there's no problem with the matrix, there's no problem with the technique. All that's left is to cultivate, Yi Shang said as he pointed at the heavenly mandate matrix that was operating outside the courtyard. I understand. I will cultivate well. Shiyu nodded. She was not very interested. The completion of the Yin chapter of the heavenly mandate matrix meant that Night Sorrow was going to leave. Don't be unhappy. The moon waxes and wanes, and people have their joys and sorrows. Perhaps I am just a passerby in the Ice Dragon realm, but I will remember the 24 years in the Ice Dragon realm. Time will not erase it, Night Sorrow said. You are the only cultivator other than the ice dragons that I have come into contact with. But I can feel the beauty of the boundless world that you told me about. One day, I will go there, Shiyu said. Shitai also nodded. The ice dragons were trapped in the ice dragon realm because of their predestined fate. If there was a real body that did not leak, then it would not be a problem to get out. We are king, immortal and indestructible. Naturally, there will be a day when we meet again. If we can't meet, then it will be me who was killed. Remember to kill me back for me, Night Sorrow said with a smile. No, I think it will be you who killed people. Shiyu smiled. She felt better after hearing Night Sorrow's words. After staying for 2 more days, Night Sorrow had to leave. Uncle Lai, thank you for taking care of me for more than 20 years. Thank you for your tolerance back then. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Shi Lai. Night Sorrow, be careful when you go out. Although I have never been to the boundless world, I know how wonderful and dangerous it is. Stay alive. Wait for us to meet again, Shi Lai said to Night Sorrow. I will. Shitai, Shiyu, I am currently living in the Qing Emperor's dynasty in the world of reincarnation. My nest is the 9 Firmament world of the 9 Firmament world group, Night Sorrow said. Okay, just wait for us. Shitai nodded. Men, present the gifts. The Ice Dragon King shouted towards the outside of the courtyard. Uncle Lai, don't. I'm very greedy. I came to the Ice Dragon realm because of my desire for cultivation resources. If you give me everything, Uncle Lai, then I'll lack the motivation to move forward. I'm a real man, so I'll earn whatever I need. Yi Shan refused. Night Sorrow still hoped that he could get what he fought for and what others gave him. Uncle, you are too stubborn. Then I won't send you anything. With too many resources, you will lose your fighting spirit. Ice Dragon nodded. Night Sorrow, if you don't like to accept gifts, then all my preparations will be in vain. However, this set of dragon scale armor is what I shed after I became a monarch. After countless years of natural baptism, it became a natural dragon scale armor. You have to keep it. It is not for you, but for my niece whom I have never met. Shiyu took out a set of soft armor. Chapter 1260. Don't be so pretentious. If I don't accept Uncle Lai's, shouldn't I accept yours? Night Sorrow directly put away the neatly folded soft armor in Shiyu's hand. Father, look at this guy. Isn't he a little too shameless? Shiyu said with a smile. She was just joking. She understood that Night Sorrow accepted her armor as a personal gift. It was different in nature from ice dragons. The Ice Dragon King only smiled. Although he was a little sad about the separation, he was still very gratified in his heart. Currently, it was a beautiful outcome. Don't look at me. This is the Ice Dragon's reverse scale. It can be used to make a hard armor. You know how powerful it is. Shitai curled his lips and took out a piece. It was only the size of a palm, but it was surrounded by golden scales. Although it looked small, Night Sorrow knew that it was a condensed treasure. Uncle Lai, Shitai, Shiyu, let's not talk too much. I look forward to our meeting in the future. Night Sorrow took out the teleportation formation disc and nodded to Ice Dragon and the others. Then, he activated the teleportation formation and left. After teleporting once, Night Sorrow set up a high-level teleportation formation. He didn't destroy it and then teleported to the teleportation formation at the entrance of the Ice Dragon world. Looking at the teleportation formation beside him, Night Sorrow thought for a while. He just removed the teleportation crystal and the teleportation crystal. He felt that this teleportation formation might be useful one day. When flying to the space barrier, Night Sorrow was still very careful. He was worried that someone would be waiting for him. However, the Ice Dragon world had been open for 20 years. Things had become very quiet. No one was waiting for him or robbing him. Night Sorrow flew out of the Ice Dragon world and teleported back to the Nine Heavens realm. Then, he teleported twice to Chia City. The people guarding the teleportation formation in Chia City were shocked when they saw Night Sorrow because Night Sorrow hadn't appeared for a long time. Night Sorrow smiled and nodded to Xiao Longjun and the others. Then, he returned to Sky City. As soon as he stepped out of the teleportation formation, there was a shout. Father! Father, you're back! A female voice sounded. Then, Night Sorrow's arm was grabbed. Qing Yan, why are you acting so crazy? Where are you going? Night Sorrow asked Yi Qing Yan, who was only slightly shorter than him. I'm going to the profound sky world to train. But since Lord Father is back, I naturally won't be going. Yi Qing Yan said with a smile. She was already 26 years old and was already a mature lady. All right. Let's go home. Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. 20 years had passed, and his children had grown up. He still had some feelings in his heart. In the mansion, Night Sorrow saw his parents, wife, and a handsome young man. Father. When the young man saw Night Sorrow enter the hall, he stood up and bowed to greet him. He was Yi Yujun. In his heart, his father was not only a loving father, but also an indomitable hero. Night Sorrow nodded and greeted his parents before sitting down. You've become more mature. Yi Wuyo nodded to Night Sorrow. You've changed a lot. Datura, who was also in the hall, nodded with a smile. She knew how much Night Sorrow had gained in the past 20 years. Although it didn't seem like much on the surface, Night Sorrow had a deep foundation and a leakless real body. If he had great achievements in the future and faced the trials of wind and fire, Night Sorrow would have the capital to contend against them. Equals only, original/others. All of them plus pirated copy. Then came the family banquet. Night Sorrow accompanied his family for dinner. Then, he told everyone that he would make a move against the Tian-Nan kingdom in the Yuan spirit world later. Night Sorrow, do we want the Tian-Nan kingdom's territory cities? These years, many forces have been waiting for our seven-night city. If we don't make a move, they won't accept it either. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. No, it's meaningless. We just need to develop the 9 regions world and 7 night city. Night Sorrow shook his head. Although Tian-Nan Kingdom had some cities, Night Sorrow felt that there was no need to manage them. 7 night cities development was stronger than a few Tian-Nan kingdoms. Night Sorrow stayed at home with his parents and wife. His children had grown up, and after spending a few days with Night Sorrow, they ran out. Yi Yujun and Yi Qingyan were both very talented. Although they were only in their 20s, after accelerating their cultivation in the space-time pagoda, they were both saints with the ability to fight above their level. Yi Yujun and Yi Qingyan didn't inherit Night Sorrow's supreme attribute, but they did inherit the spatial attribute. Not only were they talented, but even their true chi was spatial. After spending a few days with his family, Night Sorrow went to 7 Night City. His parents and wife had to cultivate, so they didn't follow. However, Datura followed. In fact, it was Night Sorrow who asked her to. Datura was already a giant. If he took another step forward, he would enter the legendary 9th level and have to endure the trials of wind and fire. Datura was very grateful that Night Sorrow taught him the heavenly mandate scripture. This was the real way to survive the catastrophe. Night Sorrow, when you want to go to the dark abyss to propose marriage, right? Datura looked at Night Sorrow, her eyes full of tenderness. She liked men like Night Sorrow who were persistent and hardworking. She liked that Night Sorrow was serious about her. Ah Luo, we're not a good match now. Let's wait. Night Sorrow shook his head. Night Sorrow had his own persistence. If he went to the dark abyss to propose marriage now, Datura would be marrying someone of lower status. Night Sorrow didn't want that. You're not in a hurry, but I'll wait for you. Your cultivation speed is not bad. Now you're at the peak of the 4-star king. You can enter the 5-star king level at any time, Datura said. It consumes a lot of resources. The cost of cultivating in the Samsara Palace is 3 times that of others. I could cultivate for 120 years, but if I comprehend the 3 intents together, I can only cultivate for 40 years. I've used up most of my time. I'll think of something when I return to the Qing Emperor's dynasty. Night Sorrow said. He still had a lot of merits in the Qing Emperor's dynasty that he could exchange for time. He could exchange it for 200 or 300 years. That's fine too. If the Qing Emperor's dynasty doesn't have enough time to cultivate in the Samsara Palace, there's still a lot of time in the Dark Abyss. The Dark Abyss and the Qing Emperor's dynasty operate differently. Most of the resources in the Dark Abyss belong to me. Usually, I'll just give some rewards to those who work hard. The Samsara Palace has more time to cultivate. Here's a Holy Spirit stone from Zhan Taiyang. Datura handed a storage ring to Night Sorrow. Okay. If I don't have enough time to cultivate, I'll look for you. Night Sorrow didn't treat him as an outsider and took the storage ring. The two chatted for a while and parted ways. Night Sorrow was going to the Qing Emperor's dynasty. After leaving for 24 years, he didn't know how the 9-story tower was doing now. Night Sorrow took the teleportation formation to the 9-story tower. Looking at the towering 9-story tower, he smiled. He had gained a lot after leaving for 24 years. With Night Sorrow's return, Sandalwood, Summer City, Yi, and Jun Xuanji all appeared. You're too cruel. You left for more than 20 years. You even delayed my wedding, Sandalwood said as she walked up and patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. Chapter 1261. Delay senior brother's wedding. Yi Shang froze for a moment. After you left, Her Highness Zhan Tan brought Miss Yi back. She told His Majesty that she wanted to get married, but after knowing that you weren't around, he refused. He's been waiting for Her Highness for more than 20 years, Summer City said. Senior, I'm sorry. I really didn't know, Night Sorrow said apologetically. What are you talking about? We're brothers. Let's not be polite. This is Sister Ee. After I get married, you can call her sister-in-law. Jean Tan introduced Ee to Night Sorrow. Greetings, Sister Ee. Senior, I'll go see Master first, then come back for a drink. Night Sorrow nodded at Ee. He knew that Ee was the person Jean Tan was looking for. Jean Tan nodded. Night Sorrow had been gone for 24 years. Now that he was back, he naturally had to greet Master. Summer City naturally followed Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow had been gone for 24 years, and he had been guarding the 9 grand floors for 24 years. Night Sorrow had just arrived outside the Qing Emperor's palace when the Qing Emperor appeared. He found that Night Sorrow had returned without Xian Daozi. Disciple greets Master and Uncle Xian Daozi. Night Sorrow bowed. It's good that you're back. Come, let's talk inside. Qing Emperor's face was full of relief. He was really worried. The Qing Emperor's guard had returned 20 years ago, and more than half of them had been lost. So he was worried about his disciple. Good boy, you've been gone for 20 years. But your cultivation has increased well. Your charm, there's an extra charm, Xian Dozi said. After entering the Azure Sky Pavilion, Night Sorrow began to make tea. Since he was with the elders, it was Night Sorrow's job to make tea. Your uncle Xian Daozi was right, Qing Emperor said, looking at Night Sorrow. You do have a different kind of charm. You clearly know the flow of energy within your body, but you can't feel it. In addition to obtaining resources over the years, this disciple has also made some gains in his own cultivation. Master, you may need this as well, Night Sorrow said. Alright, then we'll talk about it later. What have you been busy with in the Ice Dragon realm for the past 20 years? Qing Emperor was a little confused, because no matter what he did, he wouldn't need 24 years. Disciple got to know the Ice Dragon and studied the Ice Dragon's ultimate techniques. Fortunately, I was able to learn something, Night Sorrow said. Xian Daozi and Summer City were not outsiders in the Azure Sky Pavilion. Ice Dragon. You got to know the Ice Dragon and studied the Ice Dragon's ultimate techniques. It seems that you have gained a lot this time. Qing Emperor's face was full of surprise. Xian Daozi and Summer City's hands that were holding the teacups were not even close to their mouths. Night Sorrow nodded. In fact, this trip to the Ice Dragon realm this time, he had gained both what he should and should not have. It was a perfect trip. Very good. After 24 years, your cultivation has improved very quickly, and you have become much more stable. It was very worth it. Qing Emperor nodded. Night Sorrow took out his manuscript of the Heavenly Mandate Truth Sutra and pushed it in front of Qing Emperor. This is disciple's greatest gain over the years. Master, please take a look at it later. Alright, then Master will take a look at it later. Qing Emperor smiled and put away the manuscript that Night Sorrow had already prepared. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow and Summer City left. Your Highness, after staying in the Ice Dragon realm for 24 years, you still got to know the Ice Dragon. I really didn't expect this, Summer City said. I stole the Ice Dragon's bones and he almost killed me. But later on, by chance, he didn't make things difficult for me. Night Sorrow smiled and said. If you can't get it, then you can't get it. No one else got it anyway. Summer City felt that it was already very good that Night Sorrow could come back safely. I didn't say that I didn't get it. I got 2 sets of Ice Dragon's bones and gave one to someone else. I kept the other one. Night Sorrow smiled and said. Your Highness, you got the Ice Dragon bones? Summer City asked, somewhat surprised. Yes, I got it. This time I got a lot. Look at what this is. At this time, Night Sorrow was now at the Jiucheng Tower, and he took the ice qilin out of the dragon cauldron. What is this? Jean Tan asked as she walked out of the hole. The dark frost qilin tiger. I named it the ice qilin. It's a mount. I'll ride it in the future. Senior brother, do you think it's cool? Night Sorrow asked Sandalwood with a smile. It's domineering. When we ride it during a battle, the sword chi and astral sabers will be unleashed. That's what a man should be like, said Sandalwood. Ice Qilin, you stay in this mansion. You can go wherever you want, but you are not allowed to run out. Night Sorrow sent Ice Qilin away before returning to the hall of the mansion. Senior brother, we can hold the wedding now. I'm in a hurry to attend the wedding, Night Sorrow said. Update most J fast on. Alright, I'll tell Master tomorrow. I'm going to cultivate after I'm done. Jean Tan nodded. He had accompanied Yi for almost 30 years, but he had never gone into seclusion to cultivate. While Night Sorrow was inscribing spell formations in the hall, Qing Emperor came in alone. Master, you're here, Night Sorrow greeted him. Keep an eye on Summer City. Don't let anyone get close. Qing Emperor nodded at Summer City. Summer City bowed and left. He knew that Qing Emperor had something important to tell Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, have you cultivated the true scripture of heavenly mandate? Qing Emperor asked. Yes, Master, don't worry. I've cultivated it. There's no leakage of energy from my body. It's the true leakless real body, Night Sorrow said. That's not what I meant. It's not that I don't trust you. I'm here to tell you that this must be kept a secret. If it's leaked, you'll become the enemy of all the sky masters in the world. This is what you rely on to survive the trials of wind and fire. Everyone wants it. No one can protect you if you're killed. Even I don't have the ability to do so, Qing Emperor said. Master, I understand. Because you're my master, I'll take it out. I'll weigh the importance and urgency. Night Sorrow nodded. You really make me happy and sad. This is a huge matter. I can't tell my parents, wife, and children before they're old enough to cultivate. I can't tell Datura either. It's not that I'm jealous of anyone, but it's too scary if this gets out. Even if I join forces with her, we won't be able to stop it, Qing Emperor said. Datura is cultivating. I've made a marriage agreement with Datura. We might get married later. I didn't tell you at first, not because I wanted to hide it from you, but because I didn't think it was necessary, Night Sorrow said. Qing Emperor looked at Night Sorrow in a daze. Then he smiled and said, in terms of ability, my children and Sandalwood are not as good as you. They're too far apart. The relationship between master and disciple and husband and wife is strong enough. She knows the seriousness of the matter. Master, don't be angry. I just thought it was weird, so I didn't tell you. Night Sorrow was a little embarrassed. Yes, I didn't expect the all-powerful Datura to make such a decision. Qing Emperor sighed. Chapter 1262. Don't worry, Master. Datura is really good to me. She spent a lot of effort on my hometown. She's also really worried about me going to the Ice Dragon realm, Night Sorrow said. I'm not worried. Given her level and personality, she won't play tricks. She won't do that. Give me 2 jugs of wine, Qing Emperor said to Night Sorrow. Master, I've got the remains of the Ice Dragon and the remains of the Dark Ice Tiger King. Does the Qing Emperor need them? Night Sorrow asked. To Night Sorrow, both the remains of the Ice Dragon and the Dark Ice Tiger King were enough to guard Haotian City. The other ordinary one would be enough to guard the city in the sky or Chia City. You're really going to turn the world upside down. You can get anything. You've got it. It's your destiny. It has nothing to do with me or the Qing Emperor's dynasty. It's best not to use the remains of the ice dragon and the dark ice tiger king separately. It's better to use them in one place. I've studied the most famous formation in the Xianhuang world, the Xianhuang Dragon Tiger Formation. I can set it up, Qing Emperor said. It can only be set up in one place. Yi Shan asked in surprise. How many places do you plan to set it up? Qing Emperor looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I want to set it up in 2 places in the 9 domains world, Night Sorrow said. It's fine if it's not too far away. The formation can support and respond to each other. That way, the power of the formation won't be reduced. Hide it well. Wait for me to study the Xianhuang Dragon Tiger Formation and then set it up for you. I also need to collect spiritual stones. The Dragon Tiger Formation can't be broken even if it's not broken. I need at least 100,000 sacred spirit stones to set it up, Qing Emperor said with a smile. That much? Then I won't bother you, Master. Night Sorrow was a little stunned. It's nothing. Let's talk about the true scripture of heavenly mandate. You just have to shout, and there will be a lot of people who will come looking for you even if you have tens of millions of saint spirit stones. It's not a big deal for me to help you out. Qing Emperor said with a smile. I have 100,000 saint spirit stones, but it's not the right time to go to the 9 regions world to set up the formation. The 9 regions world is still growing, and it hasn't fully formed yet. If we set up the formation now, I'm afraid that the 9 regions world will expand and change the terrain, which will affect the formation's effectiveness, said Night Sorrow. You have 100,000 saint spirit stones. Is there anything I don't know about you? Qing Emperor couldn't understand Night Sorrow. Ordinary monarchs would be lucky to have 50 or 60,000 saint spirit stones, but Qing Emperor knew that Night Sorrow had not used his merits to exchange for saint spirit stones. Even so, he still had 100,000 saint spirit stones. His wealth was terrifying. I dug up an ore vein in the ice dragon world and dug up more than 500,000 saint spirit stones. Datura took care of Zhan Taiyang and took a portion of the resources. She gave me half of it, said Night Sorrow. That's fine. If you have any difficulties, you can ask me for help. Before you get married, don't ask Datura for help. If you can, don't ask her for help. Otherwise, your status will be affected if you get married. Qing Emperor reminded Night Sorrow and left. Night Sorrow's incident had touched Qing Emperor quite a bit. He felt that taking in Night Sorrow as a disciple had changed his fortune. Although Night Sorrow had been shadowed, Qing Emperor had also benefited a lot. Besides, he felt that no one could stop Night Sorrow's rise. He would give his full support. Datura was even more unreasonable. Whoever touched Night Sorrow, he would fight to the death. There were some masters and disciples who hid their intentions. The master would want the disciple's harvest, or even say that the disciple had to work for the master, risking their lives for the master. Therefore, even if the disciple had something good, the disciple would not necessarily tell the master. But this was not the case between Night Sorrow and Qing Emperor. Qing Emperor practiced the way of the gentleman and was a righteous person. He took in disciples because he hit it off and wanted to support the young ones. Night Sorrow would not be stingy with anything he could do for his master. Therefore, there was no hidden agenda between the two. Night Sorrow felt that he should make a trip to the Tianding Gate to deliver some resources to Danding Peak. Now that he had the strength, it would be easier for him to obtain resources. However, it would be harder for Yu Yangyu, Hua Yunping and the rest. After pondering for a while, Night Sorrow teleported to the city in the sky, then to Haotian City. He placed the ice dragon's bones, the mystical ice tiger king's bones, and the 500,000 saint spirit stones with his clone in the heaven sealing hall before returning to the city in the sky to rest. Update new most Q fast. After resting for a while, Night Sorrow left some supreme grade spirit stones and saint spirit stones for Sikong Chuyu. Chuyu, the Sikong family needs to develop. Send this over. Sikong Chuyu nodded. The Sikong family was developing well now mainly because of Night Sorrow. Their foundation was not enough. Night Sorrow also gave some resources to Yang Lei and Aoi for them to send to the Medicine Valley. He had to support the development of the Medicine Valley. Night Sorrow also gave some resources to Yiwuyo. The Night Moon Empire's development could not fall behind. Night Sorrow also did not forget to give some resources to Tianji Tower. Tianji Tower had taken good care of him in the past. After breakfast, Night Sorrow went to the Tianding Gate. After greeting Yu Yangyu, he left some elixirs and 10,000 Saint Spirit Stones for Danding Peak. 10,000 Saint Spirit Stones was a huge sum in the mysterious heaven world. Night Sorrow did not dare to give too much. It was fine as long as he had enough. In Night Sorrow's heart, Yu Yangyu was as important as the Qing Emperor. They were both his teachers. Yu Yangyu had even led him on the path of cultivation. He would not be stingy with anything he could do for Yu Yangyu. After telling Yu Yangyu to inform him if there were any problems, Night Sorrow returned to the Nine Chong building. After returning yesterday, Night Sorrow went to see the Qing Emperor. Since he was free today, he would naturally accompany his brother. Night Sorrow and Zhan Tan went to the Sky Tiger Pass and had a good chat with Nu Lin and the others. It had been 24 years since Night Sorrow left. Nu Lin and the others missed the days when Night Sorrow led them on a killing spree. "Commander, that Chihuahua challenged us. However, Nu Lin led us to chase after him and beat him up like a dog. He even said something like, if you have the ability to fight him face to face, I will spit on his face." Wei Wei said. "I didn't want to say anything about him at first. However, he's playing around now." "Commander, how long have you been cultivating?" "How long has he been cultivating?" Chi Ju said. "Let him do whatever he wants. It's true that his cultivation is weaker than others. As long as he works hard, let's see who will have the last laugh." Night Sorrow said. "Nu Lin, send a challenge tomorrow." "Didn't he ask for a challenge?" "I'll accompany him," Zhan Tan said after taking a sip of wine. He could not bear to see anyone bullying Night Sorrow. Chihuahua was obviously bullying him. How long had Night Sorrow cultivated? What was his cultivation level? How long had he been cultivating? What was his cultivation level? The challenge was obviously to suppress Night Sorrow's momentum. He could not tolerate it. "Senior brother, there's no need to lower yourself to his level. I've never been calculative with people who have no morals." Night Sorrow said. "I'll say it again. We're brothers in this life. If anyone wants to bully you, they will have to step over my dead body. If someone of the same level as you wants to fight you, I won't say anything. If someone wants to bully you, I'll play with him to the end." Zhan Tan said. "Junior brother Knight, let your senior brother go. Otherwise, he'll be frustrated." Yi said. "Junior brother, the main thing is that I plan to go into cultivation after getting married. Before I leave, I'll give him another slap in the face." Zhan Tan said. Zhan Tan became famous 5 million years ago. Chihuahua was the same. They challenged each other to a battle. No one bullied the other. It was a competition of strength. First update.